How do you do? The Box Office Pulp Board feels it would be a little unkind to present this podcast without just a word of friendly warning.
Hey, excellent. Yay, fuck it.
Coolio Mundo.
I put that on my gravestone. Yay, fuck it. That's pretty much what I live my life by. Yay, fuck it.
He died as he lived, fucking it.
Off to the center of the world I go. And then that's just the tombstone.
Off to the center of the world I go. You're saying the weirdest shit.
Can this be in the commentary, please?
Motherfucker, I had an intro and everything. I wanted us to get right down to brass tacks.
Keep rolling, keep rolling.
All right. There's the old Latin phrase saying, I think, therefore I am, which is a nice quick distillation for our ability to recognize ourselves being the minimum that's needed to establish existence. Mankind is less fortunate when it comes to proving or disproving the concept of free will. Perhaps the closest anyone has ever gotten was the Blazing Fat Saddles line, Mongo only pawn in Game of Life. Today, on Box Office Pulp, we're all pawns in the game of life, caught in a Moby strip of Inception commentaries. What started as a joke 2 years ago while recording a bop in a movie for Inception has now pulled us, kicking and screaming, into its third year. I'm your host, Cody, and being dragged alongside me like it's the ending to The Seventh Seal are Mike, say hello Mike.
Kill me.
And Jamie.
I'm happy to be here.
So if you didn't tune in last year, one, Jamie's a liar. Two, let me break this down. 2 years ago, we recorded a commentary for Inception. Last year, we recorded a commentary for our Inception commentary. And today, we're recording a commentary for Inception commentary. If you want to take along, you can pop in Inception and watch just to see how far off the beaten path we've come. Or you could pop in our commentary and get confused when you hear our voices overlapping with our voices. Or you could just listen to this alone and pretend we're all in a room together, slowly dying of carbon monoxide poisoning. It's your choice. I think that covers it. Should we hop right into our commentary?
Well, just a few technical things to, once again, have to get out of the way here. If you are, for some reason, wanting to listen to the commentary along with us, A, Y, B, we have our own file for this, so we're pressing play on the exact moment after the countdown in that commentary. So I think in that commentary, you hear MB countdown 1, 2, 3 after MB says 3 is where our file starts. So if you want to listen through, pause after MB says 3 and then press play after we do the 1, 2, 3 countdown and then press play. And that's a really technical explanation for this. And I want you to ruminate on the fact that I just had to describe to you how to listen to this fucking thing.
Because it's that important.
All right. So, with all of that said, Mike, do you care to count us down into the commentary?
Sure, I'll drop this bomb.
That means it's your fault.
Yeah, I know. It kind of is. Everyone tried to not do this really hard, but I've driven us into the wall of hell. All right, are we ready?
Yeah.
As I'll ever be.
1, 2, 3.
I'm so glad this begins with, ah!
So for the folks at home who might not be listening to 8 commentaries at one time, to make this work, we do have a version of this commentary with all of our voices pitched down so we sound like monster men. So we can understand our talking separate from the horrible words we said a year ago. As an update, I am now living in a new apartment with no frogs. There is a pond, but it's on the opposite side of the apartment complex, and I think all the frogs there are dead. So it is nice. It's very nice.
They knew you were coming, Cody.
You insured it. Now, here's a question, though, because I believe last year's commentary started with you having a phone conversation with your mother on moving, and we postulated that you would be terribly robbed en route to your new dwelling. And were you by the moving company?
I was not robbed physically. I was guilted out of an extra $50. So when I booked the moving company, I had not actually been inside my apartment. I had seen like a model of what my apartment would look like, and they gave me a room number. It was a 100 level, so I'm like, that's got to be the basement floor, or like the bottom floor. So we told the movers, yeah, you don't have to go up any flights of stairs. That was incorrect. It turns out the first floor of my apartment is parking, underground-ish parking. So to get to my apartment on the first floor, you have to walk up a flight of stairs.
Oh,
so the movers the whole time complained that they had to walk up a small flight of stairs to get to my apartment, and it wasn't fair, and they should have charged more money. So at the end, I gave them like a $25 tip on top of the tip I was planning on giving them, and I think my dad did the same without consulting me. So we gave him like an extra $50, even though they bitched and whined the whole time. Also, one of the movers forgot his jacket in my apartment, and then like bugged me for the rest of the day to come back and get it, because I was like going down to Walmart to pick up supplies for my new place.
Did you throw it? Did you throw it on the fucking ground, Cody?
I should have. It smelled like 1,000 cigarettes at one time.
So the answer is yes.
Depends on your definition of robbery.
I mean, I was just assuming.
Put a gun on me.
I was just assuming there'd be a Mad Max scenario where you'd be in some kind of convoy trying to get your Blu-rays safely to Minnesota.
No,
and
the
then
Blu-rays
just
came
bad
with me.
dudes on motorcycles came.
I am the scales of justice, and they just come after Cody.
Oh, hi, Mike. Looks like you got my Blu-rays there. You want to hand those back, Mike? Thank you. I kept the Blu-rays with me.
Why are you doing Korg?
It's my new voice. That's just how I talk now. I saw an Australian or a New Zealand movie. Now I just talk that way. It's terrible. My family has disowned me.
You have a Mad Max
vinyl
voice.
That's true, but that's difficult. It's more growly. I left my vinyls with the moving company, though, and at some point they must have just spilled them on the ground and stomped on them, because a bunch of them were just all torn up. Like, the discs themselves were fine, but the casings were all ripped apart and torn and nicked. So I've learned, like, any good physical media you have, just travel with you and leave, like, the mattress frame and that kind of shit to the movers.
But Shay, you got a bunch of Mondo vinyls, don't you? The packaging's, like, the big deal.
Yeah. I mean, some of those were kind of fucked up, because Mondo does not always do the best job shipping things. Like, they years ago released a really cool Batman single, so it had the animated series theme, and the vinyl was cut to look like the bat symbol. The problem here is, the bat symbol is very pointy. So when you put it in a thin cardboard box, and then wrap that in another thin cardboard box, and then ship it several hundred miles, it bounces around and the pointy bits go through the cardboard bits. So that wasn't anyone's fault, really. It's just kind of they probably should have rounded some of these points off kind of thing.
That's just how science works.
Yep. Should have gone with the Superman logo.
Well, I like how in the commentary we're talking about how fucked up it's going to be, that the second layer is going to be the first thing people see when they search for an Inception commentary by us, and it's now gotten stupider.
Oh, yeah. I don't think we'll actually spend any time talking about Inception during this commentary, and we're far enough away now where all the quality content has been watered down into garbage.
Yeah.
I assume level 5 will just be white noise for 3 hours.
It's just going to be me crying.
Have you guys ever listened to Are You Talking You Two to Me?
No.
It's a podcast with I'm blanking on names. Adam Scott, from Parks and Rec, and the host of Comedy Bang Bang. And they go through and they started off reviewing all of the albums of U2, and then they moved on to all of the albums of REM. But like each episode is 2 hours long. The first hour is basically them just throwing in jokes back and forth to each other. It's like if we had talent, that's what we would do. And I'm always jealous when I listen to that show, because they have the secret to success and we don't.
Hey, we have the secret to stupid.
That's true.
I do love, since our first attempt at this, there's been a cottage industry that's popped up of weird novelty podcasts. I like to think that we were picking up on something in the air.
We're the dank memes of the podcast world.
I was actually thinking just earlier as I was mentally preparing for this, because you have to mentally prepare
just
for
steel
this.
yourself.
By watching spooky videos on YouTube, as you do, over tea. Could
There's an
we get
easier way,
away?
Mike. You don't have to do this stuff. I'm just going to get drunk.
You already are, probably.
I'm about a halfway into an 8% beer, so I'm getting there.
Class. Can we do this as its own podcast? Where can you get away with a podcast that releases one episode once a year, and it's just talking over the previous episode?
I would like it if we did it monthly, but we have to start with a worse movie that's shorter, because you're going to get longer each time, I think. We do like Grown Ups 2. We start with that, watch it once, and then spend the next iterations talking about how much we hate this and how we're trapped in this terrible cycle, and yet we still show up because there's no such thing as God or free will.
I feel like that's what's going to happen for the final season of the Worst Idea of All Time podcast. They return to Grown Ups 2, and just that's the rest of their life.
I actually have two comments on this idea. One's dead serious. Unfortunately, not saying we do it. Not saying we do it.
No, the last time we made a joke like that, we ended up doing it 2 years in a row, and here we are.
Okay, I'll save that for the last point. The first point is, we get away with doing this once a year podcast, but it's just the same episode over and over again. Like, once a year, we just re-release the same thing. 1 year later on the date. So every episode, once a year, is the exact same thing.
I really hope we make a lot of topical references, like just a lot of shit about all the political garbage that's happening right now. Like, Donald Trump called all Mexicans animals? That's fucked up.
Oh, now we're
each
really
year
dated.
We'll be like, yeah, oh no.
Okay,
Look, I'll save spoilers. The president is garbage now in a year that will not change.
Unfortunately. My dead serious thing is, can we do a podcast where we just keep doing commentary for either the same episode or we do what we're doing with Inception, but for a single episode of Friends?
Clap, 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 clap.
I am 100% behind that idea, Mike.
I mean, I've never gone all the way through Friends, but I've seen a decent number of episodes on repeat. And even as a kid, I thought, man, these people are just kind of assholes to each other. And I'm glad everyone else seems to be catching up to that point of view. For a long time, I was like, the friends are friends. And now people are like, the friends are really awful people with a laugh track. And I'm like, thank you. Finally, my hot take is medium warm.
Slash Film recently just did a really great article looking back on Friends. It was kind of amazing. But I'm actually kind of... Is this an interesting idea? What episode do we do?
Oh, I know. This popped into my head the second you said this, Mike. The one with Jean-Claude Van Damme. Because they're shooting Outbreak 2, and the monkey comes back.
Oh my god, I was going to say we should do the monkey episode. I didn't know Jean-Claude Van Damme was in that one.
Yep, and that's the one where he tries to bang Phoebe and Rachel at the same time. It's a weird episode of Friends.
I think a lot of episodes of Friends are a little bit weirder than we give them credit for. Like, we watched them as kids, so we've kind of passed it off like, no, that's just how it was. Also, Friends gets a lot weirder when you realize Joey went into space and fought Gary Oldman.
Oh, yeah. And then Gary Oldman would later appear on that show as himself.
I noticed Lost in Space, the old movie, is actually on Netflix right now, and I'm half tempted to go back and watch it, but it's like 2 hours and 50 minutes long. Like, that is way too much for the 90s Lost in Space.
We really want to do a commentary for it.
I mean, I would do it, but I don't think that movie holds up in the slightest. I mostly just have a lot of nostalgia for the toy.
That had some badass toys, to be fair.
It was pretty great, and they were magnetic.
The only one I had was Joey with the robot helmet. That wasn't nearly as cool in toy form.
Well, you couldn't really make him turn dramatically towards camera, so it's CGI'd up around him.
I wish that movie had become more popular, so we could have mashed that up with the surprise marmot meme. You know, where like the gopher, whatever it is, turns and you just hear the dun dun dun. Someone on the internet, have mercy on me and make that for me. I'm a busy man and I enjoy laughing at stupid things.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, the internet's only just decided randomly to make the Captain America from Homecoming thing a meme like a year later. That was hilarious when it came out. Why didn't you memify it then? Why did you make me wait?
A lot of people didn't stay around for the credits, Mike. That's why. People skip end credits even though they know they're there. They're weird.
I like how you bring that up like 20 minutes after I go onto Twitter for the first time in a while and see that. Like, oh, that happened fast.
And they're all genius, honestly. Like, I enjoy every single one of them.
Anytime that costume is used comedically, I'm a fan.
I do like that meme. I will say, as far as memes go, the one I absolutely have my heart dedicated to is the American Chopper meme.
That is pretty beautiful.
I love the fact that people write those and they like have to go hardcore to make both points very valid and astute. It's like, goddamn, people put their homework in when they do these. I love this.
I'm
learning so much reading these.
I love any meme that encourages critical thinking.
Right? I'm like, wow, how the fuck did dank memes come up with this shit? All right, hand clap.
Oh, the best one is when they're arguing over the racism of H.P. Lovecraft. God damn it, he was racist even for his time!
He seemed particularly racist for the 1930s, but also the 1930s were super racist, so I don't know what side to fall on.
Well, I remember.
He is in crazy racist for what people admit to. I think the 30s were probably more racist than people have reported, because no one wants to say that in retrospect, like, oh yeah, we were terrible. And I think H.P. Lovecraft died early enough so everyone could just report on the horrible things he did.
Well, didn't like Lovecraft in his letters and shit like go out of his way to hide his racism because he was embarrassed by it because he knew he was racist even by 30 standards?
I don't know. I've never read his letters, although apparently he's written like hundreds of thousands of them. So there's whole stacks and volumes out there.
They're interesting. He was always very self-aware about it because I believe his wife was either Jewish or came from a Jewish family, and he would really.
Lovecraft was married?
Yes.
Amazing, isn't it?
I always thought that dude died alone.
He did.
Oh, okay. I guess I'm kind of right.
I remember she told a story of he was like, they were out on the street and he like surrounded by a lot of Jewish people and just, you know, minorities in general. Like just out in New York in the fucking 1930s. So that happens. And he would just start getting really, really incensed just being around people who were not white. And then she would quietly remind him of her family. And he would go, oh, yeah.
Oh, my racism.
And it's honestly my favorite story in the world because it kind of makes his racism slightly adorable.
It is kind of a little bit sitcom-y, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really weird.
Wonk.
I'm a little mad because, one, I love the fact that we jumped into H.P. Lovecraft, but on the commentary right now, we're talking about fucking Twin Peaks. It's like, we're missing out. When are you guys going to finally get around to watching The Return? I need someone to talk to because I don't understand what's happening.
I watched The Return. We've talked about it before.
God damn it. I thought you watched just part of it.
Oh, no. Mike's only seen about 1/3, I think. Isn't that right?
All right.
Yeah, I'm about to go and start watching it on Blu-ray.
If you ever want to like have a viewing night with all of us, sorry viewers at home.
You're not invited.
Privately.
You're not invited. I would love to rewatch it. I watched the first episode, and I don't know if I'll ever get to the point where I love it, but I do appreciate what a weird fucking thing it is. So I have to go on Reddit and read fan theories all the time to see if I can understand what the fuck happened during these 18 hours. And I still don't. It's been a year.
Especially since I need to rewatch like the first 5 or so. I'm all for viewing parties who help me deal.
Oh, I'm all for that. We'd get through Dougie so much easier as a group.
Oh, God,
yeah.
Yes. The amazing thing about Twin Peaks The Return is I don't think you can spoil it.
That's kind of like there's a couple of dramatic reveals I wouldn't spoil, but for the most part, it's like, how do you spoil images?
Right, like you would explain the plot and you'd be like, I don't even understand what I'm saying. And also, it's all one giant Mobius strip loop like David Lynch loves, so I don't understand if it's future or past right now. I don't know at any point any of the story is happening.
I love how we're not even watching it yet, and you're already having a breakdown. So this makes me excited for some Twin Peaks
I'm in a
nights.
weird spot because I've been obsessed with Twin Peaks: The Return. I watched all of it as it came out,
So excited.
and I was mad. I hated it.
I remember.
I'm still mad about it. Like, what the fuck? I think it's a weird mix where David Lynch is very, very, very clever, and he does a lot of very interesting things, but he's also stubborn as hell, and he doesn't like to explain himself. So you get this story we've been promised for 20-some years is going to be like a conclusion to Twin Peaks, but it's also David Lynch going, but what if? Fuck you. And I have a hard time reconciling that. There's fan service, but it's also fan service in the interest of saying, no, go fuck yourself.
I can understand that. Yeah.
It's like he's feeding you your own intestines, and like, you enjoy the taste of intestines, right? Keep eating.
That is
And
very
to me,
Lynch.
that's Twin Peaks: The Return. I'm like, I don't know why I'm eating my intestines, but I cannot stop. And the cycle continues.
Time is a flat circle. See, what I think where you and I differ on that is I fucking love that. Like, there's something, I think there's like just some asshole part of my brain that loves the idea of setting people up for a sentimental return to something that means a lot to them and alienating them completely.
And then beating them to death with a log.
Like giving them the artistic equivalent of returning to your hometown and everything's different and you don't recognize anybody and all of your favorite buildings are Starbuckses now.
I don't want that. No, it's even worse because everyone in the Starbucks is vomiting blood. Like, I don't.
There are a lot of liquids in that season.
There are.
It was like a Sam Raimi movie. And
Spoilers. Twin Peaks dies in the end with liquids everywhere. That's not quite true. I don't know if that's true or not. That's how bad it is.
I don't know.
how
That's
to
the fucked
describe
up thing. I don't know if you're
God.
serious or not.
I don't know either. We're on the same level, Mike, and I've seen the shit.
We've all gone deeper.
We're
Okay, to go back to your idea. Instead of doing a repeating
18
podcast where we have commentaries on commentaries for friends, I think we just pick like episode 8 of Twin Peaks: The Return.
Oh, God. We could, too.
I think even as someone who's very mad by The Return, I watched episode 8 and I'm like, holy fuck, what the fuck? Okay, this is something amazing, but I don't have the brain to understand.
I honestly think episode 8 is the best thing David Lynch has ever directed.
You're probably right.
Like, that was a fucking masterpiece. I was so happy and disturbed when that was over.
As everyone who complains about Dougie can attest, episode 8 is the point where everyone goes, I'll shut up. What more do you have? Or Dougie is the answer. It's just Dougie all the way down with a brief interlude of something crazy. No, not one brief crazy thing. I take that back. It's all crazy all the way down. This is particularly interesting crazy.
What's interesting about Twin Peaks: The Return, I can't really say this about anything else, where like I'm a fan of it now that it is over, but it's not something I necessarily enjoy watching, if that makes any sense.
Each week was torture. I don't think I had, besides episode 8, like a single week I watched that show where I went, oh, thank God I subscribed to Showtime so I could watch this. But I owned it on Blu-ray. I bought it the first week it came out. I was there Tuesday. I grabbed like 3 copies that were in the store. I took one from a fucking store member, like one of the clerks, like, I was going to buy that. And I was like, I have the last one. Good luck, chump. And he seemed to sell me the copy he wanted to buy.
Your Blu-ray masochism is a completely different story, man. Don't throw that at David
You really
Lynch's
got to get your
feet.
shit together.
I cannot.
We're all worried.
You should be. It's just a clusterfuck over here, and I can't do any better, even though everything's falling into my lap.
I just want to say we're 20 minutes in, and Cody's already had a complete fucking mental breakdown.
Not related to the commentary at all. He just brought that to the table.
Look, I don't have anyone to talk to about Twin Peaks, and it's very frustrating. I've had a year of pent-up thoughts.
I will fucking watch Twin Peaks, I swear to God.
Good.
I will
And that's
delve
coming
into
from someone who
Dougie.
didn't even enjoy it. Like, I feel like it's required viewing because it's just something so different and interesting from what we've gotten. Even if I don't agree with any of the choices that were made, and I feel like a lot of it was lazy, that's covering as like, no, it's weird and wacky and timelines. It's still different enough where it's like, oh, fuck, you have to check this out and just see what he's attempting to do.
I feel like I will feel very similar.
That was such a once-in-a-lifetime experience watching that week to week, and just having a master director kick your ass every Sunday. Like, I can't recall any experience quite like that.
Same. It's a one-of-a-kind thing. On the commentary, someone just said, I really don't think people understand how things work. And I'm like, that's a good way to end our discussion.
Just a brief aside, going back to...
oh, no, it's not a brief aside. We're going to jam down this one. We're going to eat this up.
You're going to immediately regret saying that. So going back to this podcast idea I had.
Oh, no.
Exactly. So we can't do this other thing we really, really want to do because we're missing a host currently. So
I thought we're going to explain that, even though we promised we were going to explain that.
Yeah, that was set up and then nothing. What if we did that in the meantime? We still get to do a dumb podcast.
Well, we have Sarah get stupid.
Yes.
All I do is stupid podcasts, so sure. Go ahead. Why not? Let's do the thing.
I just imagine you handing somebody a card. Cody Elft, stupid podcasts.
If I had to, I would have a fucking business card that's just Cody Elft, stupid, and like in Comic Sans, big bold,
in really, really tiny font that's in the middle of the card.
And then there's a picture,
like
and then a holographic picture of you smiling.
Cody Elft, stupid. You just whispered to him. Speaking of a stupid thing, I have a bit I want to put you guys into, because it'll kill some time.
Okay.
Sure.
Perfect.
Why not? We have 3 hours to kill.
Yeah, exactly. Goddamn. So for the last couple days, weeks, months, I don't know, I've been dealing with like some light insomnia, not falling asleep till 2, 3, 4 in the morning and getting up around 8. And the last few weeks, I've been having really vivid dreams that have stuck with me, like fully fleshed out stories. And they're almost always like someone did a shitty movie pitch. Like there's some tiny producer in my head trying to incept me in with story ideas, hoping like I'll tarnish my name by making them so someone successful doesn't go down in flames. And I picked 2 of the best ones from my memory banks. And I just want to throw them out to you guys. I'm not the only people living with these things. The first one, a man adopts his very first kitten, a little tiny black kitten. Never had a cat before, not a fan of cats, but this guy, his family demands he has a cat. They love cats. His daughter and his wife just want a cat so bad, so the guy gets a cat. The twist is, the cat is Cat Dracula. Each night, the cat sneaks around, draining blood from the family members to remain a youthful kitten. Also, for some reason in this dream, around the halfway point, it became just a remake of Infinity War, with the kitten trying to steal all the Infinity Stones. So you have Cat Dracula with the Infinity Gauntlet and most of the pieces, and I should have mentioned this before, the main guy who adopts the cat is Peter Weller, like when he was young. Like,
this is an important detail, that.
I'm sorry, I should have started with that. So young Peter Weller, which is how I'll refer to the main character for the rest of this bit, is fighting this cat to try and prevent him from getting all the Infinity Stones. So just imagine every like main moment from Infinity War in a slightly more low-key setting with young Peter Weller trying to stop the cat from getting all the stones and failing.
A vampire kitten.
Vampire cat, yeah. It's Dracula. It's like Gary Oldman if he was a furry with a Infinity Gauntlet. It's all mocap.
That don't feel so good, Mr. Fluffins.
Anyways, in the end, it was like a surprisingly emotional ending. After Cat Dracula kills half the people that young Peter Weller loves. Like, he's going after grandparents and his wife.
He still wins.
No. Dracula always loses, even in my mind, which is the best part.
Even in my mind, when it's a cat.
Cat Dracula realizes his continued youth has meant the destruction of countless lives and allows young Peter Weller to stake him in the heart as the sun rises over Gothic suburbia, USA.
Gothic suburbia?
It's like the setting of fucking Edward Scissorhands. Like, there's that weird giant castle in the background and a bunch of yellow, tiny ranch houses in the suburb outside.
What I love is this does sound like something Frankenweenie era Burton would be attached to.
Right. It's like, I don't even like cats. And I got sad at the end where I'm like, oh no, Kitty realized what he fucked up at. And then young Peter Weller is like crying, like a single tear comes down his eyes. He stakes Cat Dracula to death. It's not smooth either. Like, he has to fucking stab the guy 8 times. It's violent.
I don't have anything to fucking say. Like, I don't have a joke. I don't have anything to make fun of. That speaks for itself.
That came to me. I like fell asleep at 3 a.m. and I woke up in a cold sweat and I was like, oh, Cat Dracula!
You do that every night, be honest.
I do that a lot
Count
of nights. I don't
Catula,
like
no.
Count Catula. Oh, damn. I like that.
I want to point out, the second you started telling that story, one of us started talking about Cobb eating bad Chinese and dreaming the movie of Inception. And I like the accidental symmetry there.
It's the Dark Side of the Moon, Wizard of Oz type thing. It just lines up in weird ways. I can't wait to someday listen to these while watching Inception again to find out like what things line up and which don't.
That's the final level. We just watch Inception again.
Yeah, in 30 minutes, I'm just going to shout out, "Van!" really loud, and we'll be like, what the fuck? And then if you watch it in line with the movie, they discuss the prospect of getting a van. They don't have the van then, but they think about getting a van.
If they can do that with Paul Blart Mall Cop, they can do it with this.
So, anyways, while I was writing this up today, I had to look up Peter Weller just because I'm like, fuck it, Peter Weller. And I'm actually really mad about this. Peter Weller was fucking born in Stevens Point, Wisconsin, which is the basis of Point Place in that 70s show, which is roughly 30 miles away from my birth home. Like, my birthplace was that close to Stevens Point, Wisconsin. Why the hell is Weller never mentioned among the list of great Wisconsin actors?
Is this a list you fucking check like once a week?
Oh, yeah. So we got Chris Farley, Tony Shalhoub, Willem Dafoe, Hornswoggle, and Peter Weller. Top 5. I don't know why no one told me there was a top 5. I always thought it was a top 4.
Can I ask you a question? Is this like in the town square or something? Like an epic list that's like carved into stone? That's always been there.
The statue of Hornswoggle.
No, they were all born in different spots. I think Defoe was born in like Appleton, Shalhoub, Green Bay, or something like that. Hornswoggle was Oshkosh. Those are all very close to each other. Chris Farley, I think, was a Madison boy. I'm not 100% on any of these. I just know Wisconsin. We bond as a group. Pay attention to this. Not yet. I didn't have supper, though, so I might. But
supper?
If you ever want someone... supper, it's, third meal of the day.
Well, what are you a mother
Cody
from
eats like a
1908?
In Wisconsin, supper clubs are still a popular thing. We call it supper. Also, it's nice because you don't have to worry about spelling. Dinner and diner get confusing in my head, but supper and super, nah, that's easy. But I have lost the plot. I don't remember what I was going to say.
You are very passionate about Wisconsin.
I am. And that's the fun thing. If you go into Reddit and there's ever a post about Wisconsin or a person from Wisconsin or an event in Wisconsin history, a picture of something in Wisconsin, if you look at the comments, it's going to be all people saying, Wisconsin! And then someone responding to them, yeah, Wisconsin! And all the Wisconsin folks just form a wall in the comments section, basically high-fiving and saying Wisconsin. And I feel that way too. I'm in Minnesota now, so every time I hear someone say something like Wisconsin cheese, I just high-five myself in the fucking grocery store and I go, Wisconsin!
You guys must be insufferable at rock shows.
There's not that many Wisconsin rockers. There's not a lot of talent that comes out of Wisconsin. So we get excited when we see it. I just listed the top 5 talent from Wisconsin, and Hornswoggle was number 4. So
Whoa. Don't insult Hornswoggle. He was cruiserweight
that's
champion.
true. That wasn't. I mean, he's done way more than I've ever done, so I can't insult Hornswoggle. I've never been the Leprechaun.
Yet.
That's true. I got more life to live. That's optimistic. Thank you.
You're welcome. What is happening?
I don't know. I just said boom. Actually, I didn't say boom. I don't know who said boom. I don't recognize the demonic voice who just said boom on the commentary.
We all kind of sound equally monstrous. It's really hard to keep track of who's talking, which I like.
I don't. I like having my words belong to me.
See, it's a little different.
What are we talking about? I heard Foil Charizard and then Electro. Like the fucking Spider-Man villain.
From what I've been able to pick up on, we're discussing replacing your dick with a cyber dick, and one of us suggested electro powers.
Yes. This is when I had this conversation with somebody, and then I pitched it to you guys because they were very unimpressed, or they didn't think it was that big of a deal. You lose the dick, you go full bionics.
Dude, you would feel the same.
And then I was saying, like, you could turn it into, like, a taser and shit for, like, self-defense. But I think I bring it up in this, which is my thing, is you can turn it into, you know those alarm clocks where they go off, but they, like, helicopter across the room and shit? So you have to actually get out of bed to go turn off. Your dick's that alarm clock where it, like, helicopters off of you and then flies around the room, and you have to chase your dick around the house to turn it off and stop it from beeping. And that is a way to start your fucking morning.
Mike, I don't like the idea of your dick having a helicopter propeller coming out of it, because that seems like it could cause problems during intercourse. If anything, the dick should just launch like a rocket across the room and impale itself in your wall. So you got to be up before your dick goes off, or else you're going to have
wheels. What if the balls became wheels and it, like, drove around?
Like one of those raccoon tail things?
Yeah.
You guys remember those? Yeah.
I feel like that's just a vehicle from Wacky Racers at that point.
I'm sorry. I just have the mental picture in my head right now of someone dragging a giant dick backwards with a big penny in the back, and then launching it forward so it can do like crazy eights around the kitchen floor.
Oh God, we're talking about Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Nope. Okay, I'm not doing that again. Second pitch. This is the second big dream I wanted to share with you guys. So I thought this was the best one.
Oh God.
This one is the most recent. So I had to do some work stuff today because I was really paranoid. And by today, I mean, like, at 2 a.m. I logged on to our work network, and I started checking some stuff. I'm like, I should get work done while I'm on here. And I went to bed somewhere between 3:30, 4 a.m. I don't know, somewhere in there. And I immediately launched into this deep dream about a Creature from the Black Lagoon prequel. But it wasn't even a pitch. It was like I saw the whole movie in black and white. And it was so low budget that I can't decide if this was intentional or not. But the Creature from the Black Lagoon was played by an alligator in 90% of the footage.
Wait.
Like you would just see the
an
tails.
Alligator or played by an alligator?
Like, it was supposed to be the creature, but you just see like an alligator tail thrashing in the water and stuff every time the creature is supposed to be there. You didn't get like cool underwater shots of the creature swimming or anything.
Okay, this is where my head was. This is where I thought you meant like they hired an alligator to be the actor in the Gillman suits.
That'd been fun.
So it's just an alligator clumsily stuffed into a normal Gillman suit and being treated like an actor.
I love the idea of the Gillman having like these deflated, wacky arms that can't move, but just hang by his side ragdoll style as the alligator swims through the water, doing like the Shaq shimmy. So I think like in the movie I saw, it was supposed to be like they're just saving money because Creature of the Black Lagoon, the prequel, obviously was made for 5 cents. But the way like some other Cobb version of me 3 layers down justified it was saying, no, in the prequel, the Creature from the Black Lagoon starts as an alligator man and then slowly becomes the Gill Man as the years go by.
As the years go by? This is like On Golden Pond, but for the Gill Man?
Yes, with Gill Man. I would also watch that movie. So we have an alligator Gill Man, which is man, fish man, alligator, all crossed together in an awkward prepubescent, which is weird because the story takes place in like 1945, so he only had a few years to fully mature into the Gill man we all know and love. Considering Creature from Black Lagoon is what, 1954?
Is it possible the High Evolutionary got to him?
I can't say no.
Well, his Count Catula was a fucking Marvel crossover, so why the hell not?
That's true. This one does not have a crossover with anything, really. It's a straight-up Gill-Man movie, sort of. Only it's really a remake of King Kong.
So it's not a straight-up Gill-Man story.
No, well, think of it this way. King Kong could easily be remade where instead of a giant gorilla, it's just the Gill-Man fighting dinosaurs.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
God, the Gill-Man fighting dinosaurs. Holy shit, I want to see that.
That's Shape of Water, too.
He'd be so useless.
Right, he just gets immediately eaten by a Mosasaurus. Like, oh, that was pointless. There's Nessie! Oh, and he's dead. Great. No more Gill-Man. Anyways, in my movie picture dream, a film crew goes to the jungle to film the legend of the creature from the Black Lagoon. Only when they get there, the creature shipwrecks them. And kind of in like a subversion of how this would normally play out, the handsome leading man and his very beautiful romantic lead are both graphically eaten alive, like just fucking guts everywhere. They're the first people to die. The boat sinks, they're all like treading water, and one by one they get killed by the monster, besides two people. The local guide they picked up, who honestly, in my mind, very racist character. Like, I have no justification. Waking me is like, oh, that's wrong. There's a lot of really racist 1940s tropes going on. But apparently,
when I'm not awake, I'm not woke at all. Good night, everybody. I've been here all night.
I think that's
mic
good.
drop.
Let's call it. That's 37 minutes in, 37, 30. That's good enough. That's the best we can do to go out on. Anyway, so there's like a really racist character of a local woman, and like as an awake person, I disown this entirely.
That is the most you thing you have ever said, Cody.
But as Dream Me goes, she lives because she's not the white woman who gets graphically eaten by the crocodile man, Gill Man. And this is my favorite part of the story because this is a deep grab I never would have made while awake. The lead hero of the story from the halfway point of the movie where everyone else gets ripped apart and eaten is the film's producer, who is being played by John Polito, circa 1998, The Big Lebowski. The detective runs into The Big Lebowski with the pencil stash and the Danny DeVito stature.
What a pull.
Dream Me was fucking on that shit. I never would have done that awake.
I mean, that's excellent casting.
I love your time travel casting there. This is the ultimate movie.
John Polito, in like his prime, is the one to survive the monster's attack. He's the sleazy movie producer. He's in love with the native local guide. And for some reason, like 90% of the movie just revolves around not the monster eating people, because the monster, when it eats people, mostly cuts to like stock footage of an alligator like eating an antelope or something.
Just alligators eating the goons from Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
Why is your imagination so low budget, Cody?
I don't know. There's not a lot there. There's just nothing. Even like when the boat sank, like most of it was off camera. Like you see bubbles, but you don't see anything besides like a couple of planks floating in the water, and you just know the boat's gone from sound effects. And like John Polito standing waist deep in the water, pointing like the boat's gone. But there was a ton of footage, like a lot, like most of the movie, like probably 90 minutes of movie about people walking down this ladder into the water, where the camera cuts to a rusty nail sitting aboard on the ground that's pointed up, and like every character either stepping on the nail or missing the nail.
Cody?
And how far away are they? They can't see the person behind them stepping on the nail?
No. It's all. This is the best part. It was all one by one, and each time someone would step on the nail and freak out, before they could call for help, the monster would swim and eat them.
So is this just the movie?
What a genius gag.
That was the movie. That was like 90% of the movie. Just people would like either just barely miss the nail and swim off and rejoin the group. Like, I can't find any rope out in the jungle. We'll never make this raft. Or like another person going in like, I'll find rope, and then he's like, there's no rope in the jungle. He turn around, go down the ladder.
Wait.
He would step on the nail, pull his foot out, and go, "Youchies!" And then the monster would eat him before he could go to everyone else and be like, "There's a nail down here. We should remove it."
Okay, a couple thoughts. A, is this like a philosophical story where it's like, oh, there's the real monster, and you point to the nail?
That honestly is how the movie ends. Pretty close.
Twas beauty killed the beast.
Cody,
it ends like it's a fucking novel instead of a real movie.
Did you happen to just watch A Quiet Place?
Months, like back when it came out, early April. I think that's what inspired it, though. Like that nail idea, people stepping on that nail.
I think so.
It must have come from that, underwater. I'm assuming that's where my subconscious took it from. Like, oh, that was an effective scene. What if we did it 9 more times? And sometimes they'll miss the nail, and they'll go back up the ladder into the woods, and then come back 5 minutes later, and you're like, is this the time he gets it? Because everyone who steps on the nail dies!
Okay, people listening to this, never do this as a sketch. I want to film this as a sketch ourselves sometime. Like, what a genius idea. Everyone, there's a monster, but the real focus is the fact people keep stepping on a fucking rusty nail sticking out of a step.
No, they'll get jungle tetanus.
Exactly. People are more concerned about the tetanus than they are the fact that there's an alligator gillman floating in the water nearby, and when they scream for help, the alligator gillman's like, now's the time. They're hobbled.
Whoa, Manaconda.
Oh, God. Why isn't that a movie? Like an anaconda with normal-sized human arms and legs. So they look like baby arms and legs on 30 Anaconda.
Yeah, get on that sci-fi network.
I just imagine a fucking giant python slithering around, but just it has normal person arms. They're still flesh toned and everything. There's normal. They're useless too. They're just there and attached, and just at the top
like
near where its shoulders would be, just flappy arms with bones.
Arms.
Yes, and then just near its tail, just 2 legs.
See, that's horrifying, because that's a snake that could conceivably kick your ass.
Or open doors.
No!
I like how, with level 2 commentary, we actually kind of talked about Inception and had like really interesting, deep conversation. We did go deeper into the film.
Yeah, that's because I felt guilty about the fact that our commentary was useless. So I'm like, let's talk about the movie. We're all smart people. We can talk about the movie's themes.
Like, I hate to know what's going to be next year if we're already like just completely off.
Blank slate, baby.
We're
going to talk more about Gilman prequels and the dark universe that never was. Hey, nail in the coffin. Dream? Rusty nail.
Rusty
James
nail.
just said nail in the coffin in the commentary for everyone at home. So I have to keep explaining that because you can't hear what I'm hearing. Anyways, I didn't get to the ending of this one, which I think is the most fascinating part. So it kind of like ended ambiguously. Like there wasn't a clear answer. The guide eventually, after battling the monster for like the second half of the movie, after everyone gets past that nail, finds a barn that's been sunken by this expanding river up until its second floor. So like the bottom area where you'd herd all the cattle, that part's flooded. But on the second floor, like the top of the hay bales and stuff, there's an actual floor, and there's a window on the second floor you can walk into if you like get onto the second floor, through the ladder or whatever else you've got. I believe the main hero at this point had cobbled together a sailboat out of jungle reeds and was going down the river, and he just climbed up the mast of his crappy raft and used that to get into the building. And the woman he was pining after, the guide, was hiding inside of there. And as he climbed up into the second story, he had like this weird whispered monologue, like this really esoteric thing, talking about the nature of man and beast and how the only difference being the ability to use ladders. He hoped as he looked down and saw like the creature like slowly climbing up the ladder.
No!
And that's where it ended. So I'm assuming like he just thought like we're better than beasts, and then the beast beat them both, and he lured the creature to his love, and it was really a bummer ending. Anyways, John Polito, in my mind, totally died. A kill from the road to El Dorado for some reason. That's what I imagine in my mind. Like the two of them dying together in this half-sunken barn as the creature finally matures from pubescence into the Gil man we all know and love. In 1945. Honestly, I think this one could be saved as a movie. Like I would watch most of the
I mean, I think it's interesting. I'm kind of like, I do agree. The thing that separates man from beast is the ability to climb ladders most of the time, but you've now encountered something that is both man and beast.
Climb stairs.
That's a sequel.
It's true.
I'm
the problem is this was set in like 1945, and then everyone dies, I have to assume. And then they discovered the Devonian fossil in 1954, and they go back. There's time for another movie, but who knows if the box office would have been like, yes, make another prequel sequel.
Oh, could you imagine just ladder-based movies become the big thing in Golden Age Hollywood?
Just
to replace the musical.
Series of movies where there's people running away from giant ants and stepping on rusty nails. This is Clint Eastwood's first role. Oh, he stepped on the rusty nail. He's got tetanus. He's out of the film.
Phantom of the Opera would be very different.
That's true.
That becomes the new who's going to get it in this movie. Oh, I wonder who steps on the rusty nail.
That was honestly the highlight of the movie because there were so many people who almost stepped on the nail and then for whatever reason would just barely miss it or they get distracted so they walk back up the ladder. It's very much like the original Creature of the Black Lagoon where the monster reaches out of the water and then like the girl turns away at the last second so he misses her when he swipes.
Okay, what if...
It's the same fucking rusty nail joke for a lot of the movie. I'll admit that should have been trimmed down.
Well, your brain has the rough cut, of course.
That's
imagine
true. That movie's
though,
way too long.
Imagine though, like the entire history of cinema is very different, and how cinema works is every film you go to see, you don't know if it's going to be a film that includes the rusty nail. Like that's what cinema's about, is the rusty nail in the stair. And every time you go to see a movie, shut up, I'm talking. Every time you go to see a movie, it's a complete gamble. So you're just on the edge of your seat, tense, grabbing the seat, waiting to see whether or not the nail's going to show up at any fucking second.
I would like that if we did that in the real world, but it's John Hamm. Like, you just never know if John Hamm's going to appear in a movie and murder one of the leads.
That is the real world, Cody.
Yeah, pretty much.
Also, I'm very mad because I want to make a connection back to what we were talking about. We were talking about Army of Darkness, which famously has a scene where Ash fights a series of mirror versions of himself and steps on a rusty nail.
Way to bring it around. Did we ever at any point talk about a fucking cat that's also Dracula?
I don't think so, but I don't like cats, so I think that's where that came from. That's all
also Thanos.
That's current events. We wouldn't have talked about that years ago.
Current events. No, Cody. The current events is shit that's going on in the world, not Thanos.
Thanos is going on in the world.
He's got the time stone. He's always going on. So anyways, those are the two movie pitches I have built up in my head from weird, like, fever dreams. And I would enjoy watching both of those made, although I don't think they're quality cinema. At least not in the way filmed.
I don't know, Catula is kind of... I mean...
Cat Dracula could have been hilarious. I mean, I know a lot of people get mad about the fact of cat murder.
I mean, hilarious? You just said, like, the movie is like a tearful, sorrowful ending where young Peter Weller, I'm sorry, crying while fucking staking a tiny, tiny kid that's wearing the Infinity Gauntlet in the heart with a wooden stake.
No, sorry, I should elaborate. So by that point of the movie, Kitten has realized that he's murdering people for their blood so he can remain young, and he has stopped, and he's grown into an older cat with streaks of gray in his black fur. And that's when he's like, I can't kill again. And young Peter Weller is like, then I have to do this. And they have their moment.
Yeah, that's
I like
totally
to think
not
it still meows.
It was still scored like it was Bram Stoker's Dracula. I want you to imagine that score going as he hammers the stake in like 8 times because he just can't apparently find the fucking heart of this cat.
I just want to see you going up to a special effects studio and saying, we need you to pull a Marvel on Peter Weller. We've got Peter Weller under contract, but you have to make him look pre-RoboCop for this movie about a cat Dracula.
Yeah, that's actually season 4 of Westworld. I can't wait for it.
Peter Weller has pretty much looked exactly the same since, I don't know, the late 1910s.
I'm honestly amazed because he looks older, honestly, of course, in Westworld. You know how old Peter Weller is? His age? His actual age?
As opposed to what? His fake...
His movie age. His fake IMDb age. He's 70 years old. That man does not look 70 years old.
And really,
like,
at this point, he only
he's still
looks...
rolling around and shooting people. He's either very good at switching in with his stunt doubles, or he is just very, very well put together for a man who's 70.
And he's only aged into his RoboCop makeup whenever Murphy has the helmet off. Like, he just looks like that now.
He does. He's very tight.
I'm sorry, I'm thinking the part where like his eyes roll up in his head and he's got like nothing but face left.
Oh, and when he just parts in RoboCop 2. You know, I need to show you guys Screamers sometime.
I was actually just thinking about that.
Screamers is really good. I really like Screamers.
I'm so sad about the RoboCop franchise as a whole.
I mean, same, but go on. Laments
no, that's just
on
it.
RoboCop
like,
3
I honestly love RoboCop 1 because Verhoeven is just a madman genius. And 2 is also insane in a different way, but also fun. Like when the fake RoboCop just decides to blow its own brains out in the testing phase. That has to be one of the darkest, funniest jokes I've ever seen in a film.
Oh, yeah, or when it pulls its own face off. Oh! That entire sequence is fucking brilliant. RoboCop 2 is actually pretty good. It's just weird. It's like 3 different movies. Like, they're all kind of vaguely broken and incorrectly directed.
Right. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And then RoboCop 3 just feels like, what happened?
I don't know what the fuck that is.
Yeah,
Frank
that
Miller.
just totally fell off the cliff. And then the RoboCop remake is so bland, I half the time forget that it happened.
Joel Kinnaman.
Like,
it is weird.
Joel Kinnaman's not that bad. Like, in his TV shows, he's great. Like in the, what is it, The Killing? Like, I don't even blame that dude. It's just, he's not Peter Weller, and the way that movie's directed, you just kind of feel like they're trying to say something, but they've got a lot of marbles in their mouth, and they're not pronouncing well.
It's weird too when I'm occasionally reminded, oh yeah, we experienced a RoboCop remake.
I own the RoboCop remake on DVD Blu-ray, and I've seen it once. And if someone asked me, like right now, point blank, what year was that made, I would stop. I wouldn't know. Like, was it 1999? Was it 2010? Was it yesterday? I wouldn't know. Like, it's that forgettable. Nothing about it stands out. I love the cast. I love. There's so many good people in that cast. It's like, how did they fuck this up so bad? And yet they did.
Bad remakes have an oddly timeless quality to them. Like, I feel like the Total Recall remake could have been made in 2002.
I've never seen that one, honestly. I tell myself I should just for the experience, but I haven't checked it out. Oh, now we're talking about Austin Powers on the commentary.
Hey, that's topical. Vern Troyer just died.
Yeah,
there you go.
That was real sad. But on top of that, for some reason now, Mike Myers is taking the opportunity to say, like, hey, I want to do a number 4, focus on Dr. Evil.
He's been saying that for years.
Which is now, honestly, the worst time to say that because you don't have Mini-Me around, and you would have to explain why there's
weird. I'm totally game. I think, like, it just seems like you're kind of using Vern Troyer's death to try to gain interest in Austin Powers.
It does. That's the weird part. Like, if anything, he'd just be like, oh, let's do a part 4 that's just Austin Powers and no Dr. Evil. Like a real Bond film where you have a new villain each time.
I will always be completely fucking befuddled as to why, when everyone involved has wanted to make another Austin Powers movie, it's just never happened. Especially in the age of, hey, remember that thing from like 20 years ago? Let's make another one of those.
And it's not like Goldmember bombed or anything.
Not at all, no.
It makes me wonder, like, did the concept of Austin Powers just get so ran into the ground that even people who want money don't want to hear about it?
I think it's one of those deals where Austin Powers is a pastiche of classic James Bond. You know, the old James Bond. But even James Bond started chasing after the Bourne Identity after that came out. So the new Bond movies are so divorced from the old Bond movies that doing a parody of the old ones doesn't really make sense anymore.
But you still see throwbacks to old, like, spy stuff.
You do. Yeah, I mean, they could do it. Honestly, they could do it, and I'd be there. And Austin Powers at this point is his own thing that's so synonymous with that parody, it kind of overtakes its source.
And it almost feels like the fact that Bond's moved into a more Bourne territory it's just still fucking weird. That gives you more content for an Austin Powers movie.
Well, it's been so many years by now. They could honestly do a complete reboot of Austin Powers with Mike Myers still involved and just comment on all the ways films have changed since.
I would kill to see an Austin Powers movie filmed exactly like a Jason Bourne movie with all like the robot fighting and the quick cuts and everything, and they play it completely straight, but it's still Austin Powers.
That would be
That'd be
fucking
great.
brilliant.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. I mean, on the other hand, though, if you look at the humor, I haven't watched Austin Powers in a long time. And I remember loving them as a kid, at least 1 and 2. I was so-so on 3, but 3 is probably fine.
No, 3's not. Trust me. 3 does not hold up
then
at all.
Good, then I don't remember it wrong. But a lot of the jokes there, I'm sure, don't really work anymore, just because of the idea that in the last couple of years, people have been real hardcore about the fact that, hey, different groups are still people. Like,
that wacky hippie idea.
I know. It's so weird because, like, the whole basis of Austin Powers is, it's free love in the 60s. It's fun. But instead, we got, like, a series where Austin Powers freaks out because, like, people are dressed as women, but they're men. Like, all that shit freaks him out. And his mojo, like, if he's not fucking women, he's not a man.
Oh, that's where they go for the new series. Like, it's really dark. Austin's a Trump supporter.
Oh, God, no.
Hey, to be fair, the worst thing like Austin Powers ever made fun of was Scottish people.
Those movies did create a hate crime against Scottish people.
And they had it coming, honestly.
Actually, now that I'm going back, the Austin Powers series is incredibly white. I think the only person of color in the entire series is in part 3 where they included Beyonce.
I'm trying to think, like, were there cameos? And I don't think so.
Without rewatching them, I can't say for sure, but I'm pretty sure it was, like, entirely white. There were a couple of, like, hey, there's an Asian person, and then let's make fun of their name. I'm fuck you. No, I'm fuck me.
Yeah, we ignore all jokes from Goldmember.
Yeah, I agree with what we're saying on the commentary right now. Why don't we have a goddamn Wayne's World 3?
We're getting Bill and Ted.
That's
we need
true.
a Wayne's
I'm happy
World
about
3.
that. So today, did you guys see the trailer for Destination Wedding?
No.
So the concept is Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder are going to a destination wedding. They bump into each other. They don't know each other, but they're going to the same wedding. And they're just hateful, horrible people. And everything, they like bond, but they hate everything. So everything Keanu says, like this deadpan, God, fuck this world. And everything Winona says is basically like, this world is terrible, I hate it. And it's like a romantic comedy about two ascorbic, cynical folks finding each other on the way to a destination wedding that they hate.
That actually sounds kind of delightful.
Like, the trailer is so-so, but I love the idea so much, and the delivery from both of them is so wonderful. Like, in the trailer, there's the joke where they're out in, like, I don't know where they are, California or somewhere, like in a vineyard, something. Does California have vineyards? Maybe it's the East Coast.
Yes, it does.
Okay. So they're out in, like, a vineyard, and I don't even know if that's right. I saw this morning. I don't remember none of this. They see a mountain lion, and Winona Ryder's, is that a mountain lion? Maybe it's a leopard. And you just hear Keanu go, Jesus Christ. And the reaction is Winona's trying to place what the fuck this animal is. And Keanu Reeves is basically just more pissed off that she's trying to figure out what the animal is than he is that he's about to be eaten by a mountain lion. And as comedy interactions go, it's so good. It's just so rewarding to see those two doing this jaded, I guess we're a couple because we both hate everything thing. It works so well.
I love how perfect that is, specifically for Reeves post John Wick, going back to comedy Reeves.
He has the John Wick beard and everything.
Do you think he's going to have that in Bill and Ted? He has to, right? It's his bread and butter at this point.
I like the idea I saw on Tumblr the other day where what if Bill and Ted just use modern slang? Like, this is the biggest mood.
I could see that. Here's
I would love the idea of 40, 50-year-old men basically appropriating the slang of 15-year-olds and using it mostly correct. Like, it would involve so much more research than I'm sure the writers of Bill and Ted could possibly put in, being adult people. But it would be amazing because we wouldn't understand it all. I'd be so confused, but there would be an honestness to it that would like approach a new generation very well.
I feel
We're
like
totally
it's a
woke now,
possibility.
bro.
Yes. How fantastic would that be if they talked about how woke they were? And like that whole
Now
90s
we just
slang.
hug. We don't even comment on it.
Wouldn't it be amazing if like they just did that? They just hijacked all the slang of 2018 and put it in place of the 1990s weirdo shit they said. It wouldn't even seem as sad anymore. Like, oh, they're 20 plus years in the past. How sad. It'd be like, oh shit, they kept up. That's sad in a different way.
Whoa, Ted, loving the dad bod parental dude.
That'd be fantastic. Like, I'd actually be excited about that shit. As long as it's done right. If they throw it in there like, I'm a 40-year-old man who once heard the term hashtag, then no, please, God, no. Please get people actually understand these terms.
I think it's like a 50% chance you just describe the writing of Bill and Ted 3. It's like, yeah, they probably are going to do that. Just have them say normal today's slang.
It is funny to think I would be 100% down with a Bill and Ted 3 that has no time travel or magical shit. It's just those two dudes being middle-aged dads.
And
occasionally referencing the fact that they went to hell.
I'm so fucking excited for more Sadler.
That's also true. I love anytime that guy's around.
I didn't think about that. Sadler could be a factor.
No, he is.
He said he wants in. He said he wants in.
Yeah, and they said like months ago when they did that big interview for I think Entertainment Weekly or something, which I guess was done to gauge interest for like the studio purposes or something. They said like, yeah, Sadler's death is totally in the movie.
Will we see Station? That's what I want.
So, to leave the commentary for a minute, one of my friends just messaged me like, hey, if you're done podcasting, we're on Jackbox Games if you want to play with us. And I had to respond, God, I wish. There is another hour and a half left of this. My friend Sean O'Connell, one of my best friends in the world, just responded, Darn.
Don't act like you're not having a good time, Cody.
It's all right. I got to talk about my Creature from the Black Lagoon remake prequel.
And Catula.
Also, Catula. Cat Dracula, as I will call him, because that's my term. But you're fine to use Catula. I like that more, but it's not mine. Anyways, a few minutes ago, we were talking about Avatar. And surprise, surprise, I have been watching Avatar the whole time.
What?
Whoa! These will line up pretty well, because it turns out on the Avatar Blu-ray, there's Avatar, the theatrical cut. Avatar, the re-release special edition with 8 new minutes of footage. Avatar, the director's special edition re-release extended cut with 16 new minutes of footage. I assume that's 16 new minutes from the theatrical cut, not 16 minutes from the re-release cut. No, wait, actually, holy shit. No, that must be 16 on top of the 8, because this movie is, drumroll, 3 fucking hours long.
No.
How do you make that more boring?
Also, I love Sergeant Slaughter cutting a promo for Avatar there.
I will say, though, I have not watched Avatar for years. Holy shit, we guessed that. Sorry, on the commentary it said Professor Ian Malcolm coming back for the Jurassic World sequel, which has, in fact, been revealed by the trailer to be a thing that's happening. Good work,
I've listened to this. We predicted a few things.
That's weird. Shit. Anyways, I had a point to make about Avatar, and this could be a hot take. I'm kind of having fun with it without listening to the actual words. I got the subtitles.
Cody, you are clearly drunk as shit, so of course you're having fun with it.
Look, okay, the first beer was, I slightly exaggerated before, it was not 8%, it was 7.7. And the second beer, which is a tall boy, is, let me turn the bottle, 7.8. Those sound like high numbers for someone who is not just drowning in booze every day of their life.
I didn't have supper.
The supper part's killing me. But this is not even Woozy Cody yet. This is, hey, I'm pre-gaming. I have been watching Avatar for the last hour and 10 minutes or so. We're to the point where Jake is now taming his first dragon thing.
Yeah,
Oh, boy.
bitch.
Yeah. It's interesting because I've never watched the extended cut, so there's new shit in there I haven't seen. Like a couple more minutes on Earth where Jake rolls up on his wheelchair to beat up a dude who's beating on his girlfriend. That was interesting. It's like one beautiful. Like all the CGI holds up pretty damn well considering this was what 2012 or something. You get a couple of weird shots like the spaceships don't look quite right, but all the planets look really good and all the environment looks really good. And because everything's CGI, the interaction looks amazing.
I feel like that's a very different experience watching Avatar without any of that dialogue.
No, I have the subtitles on, so I can read what they're saying, but you don't hear people saying it, which honestly does probably improve it, because then your mind just translates to the best possible saying what they're saying.
Yeah.
It's like if you watch a foreign film, like you don't know if their accents are wrong or the pronunciation's wrong. You just see the subtitles, so you translate in your mind like, oh, that guy's acting like a pro.
It's weird whenever you're watching a foreign film and you kind of become self-aware halfway through it, where it's like, wait a minute, I'm the actor in this film.
One of the ones I love the most is Glorious Bastards. All the parts where they're speaking French, apparently, like, people who know French are saying, like, yeah, most of the actors are really terrible at French. Like, they didn't pick people who spoke it naturally. But as someone who doesn't know a lick of French, when I watch that, I'm like, oh, they're all great actors. So yeah, I'm watching Avatar right now. I mean, it's not in 3D, which honestly was the big amazo factor in theaters. But as a film on a big screen, like, it's beautiful. I think some of the stuff is interesting. I'll always stand by Avatar just for the fact that it's very functional, and if nothing else, that deserves applause.
It is functional. It just needs to be like hour and 40 minutes.
If they could cut out a lot of this movie or split into like two parts and call it good, that'd be great. As someone who's not seen Avatar 2, which is coming out in like 20, you never know, 2020, 2019?
It's filming like in 2 or 3 months or something. Oh, no, it's filming now. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but like it's all CGI, so they can film all of the sequels, I'm sure, in like 6 months, and then the rest will be animation.
I agree. I will say that you can at least throw it up to Cameron that production was not a train wreck.
No, like it goes on smooth.
Like Avatar could have gone way, way wrong, and we at least got a functional movie.
Well, people underrate that. People talk about functional like, oh, it's just functional. I don't say that as like a backhanded compliment. I say if a person makes a functional movie, they have done 95% of the work, and everything on top of that is maybe just a couple of stylistic flourishes that really elevate the material. If you can make something that hits all the beats well and communicates its point and has a clear theme, you've done amazing. Most filmmakers don't even get that far. They like try, but they ended up with a muddled point. James Cameron knows what he's trying to say. He knows how he's trying to say it. It's, as I'm saying right now in the commentary, yes, I think actually Mike's saying it. It's over long, yes. It's maybe a little preachy, but it hammers all those points in. You're not going to miss any of them. You're not going to go, well, that was underdeveloped. You know everything that's happening. You understand it well. And the visuals are exciting. So, like, as something to put on in the background for 3 hours, this is a fine option. On the other hand, if I took something like The Maze Runner and ran all three of them back to back to back, I would lose interest about halfway through that marathon.
Why would you ever do that?
Because I own all three of them now.
But Cody,
I had to know how it ended. I'm not going to read books.
Okay, a couple points. A, Wikipedia. B, you can rent.
It's not the same as watching.
No, it's literally the exact same. Renting is the same as watching.
Sorry, I was in reference to Wikipedia, not the renting part.
Jamie, help.
So okay, we've touched on this over the years, but since we got time to fill, I really want to zero in on this. And I'm not even making fun. I actually want to know, what is it about actually owning a movie physically that makes it a different experience for you? Because you've mentioned this before, that it doesn't feel right for you to just rent something.
So if I'm renting something, I mean, the really obvious lame answer is, hey, when they produce this in a physical edition, you can put it up on a shelf somewhere, and when you browse through your titles, you will see that spine that announces loudly, check it out, it's the Frighteners! And you can hold it in your hands and go, oh, that's something I should watch. And when you pop the disc in, it has a director's commentary, it has a making-of featurette, it has interviews with all the cast. It has all that extra stuff that makes you feel like this is something you can invest in and learn a little bit more than just watching the film. On the other hand, if I just pop in Netflix, not even pop in, if I just turn on Netflix, I lose all of that. Like, there's 1,000 titles on Netflix, so you just kind of scroll through until you randomly bump into one that means enough to you. They're like, yeah, sure, whatever, watch that. It's not a conscious choice to me when I go to Netflix and look for something. It's just I randomly search until there's something that looks good enough to throw on.
I'd like
And
to
there's no
interject.
special features. Yeah,
I'd like to interject.
Go ahead. You have time,
Okay.
sir.
There is such a sea of difference between the conversation of what's great about owning physical media and why the fuck do you own Dark Shadows, The Mummy, all 3 Maze Runner movies. They're like, that's, we all love the Frighteners. That is great to own physically and put it on your shelf and display it, have your own library and stuff. You're
If I'm to
buying
interject
movies.
to level 3 right now,
Argumentception.
this isn't even an argument. I just want to talk about, God damn, I watched The Frighteners last week. What a wonderful film.
I'll maybe mention this on the show. I own Cody's DVD of The Frighteners. He sent it to me.
That's true. Did you get around to watching it at some point, the director's cut?
I have still not managed to watch any of the movies you sent me. I still have fucking Sunshine sitting on watch, and I was dying to see that for the longest time.
Okay, yes, you need to make time for Sunshine. That one is honestly one of my favorite films. It is so well done.
underrated.
It's amazing.
I
I'm not
can't
trying
believe
to
it's
break
out.
up. I just think it's really well. It splashes into slasher territory for some reason in third act to prepare you. That's not a spoiler. It's just a weird tonal shift.
It is odd.
But all of it works very, very well, and I love it so much. And it has kind of a retro throwback feel that I appreciate in this day and age where everyone could just go, what if we had sleek, cool spacesuits?
Yeah, it's amazing that there's an Alex Garland movie out that's been out for a decade now that I just haven't bothered to watch yet.
I think you're right about that length, but boy, that makes me feel bad.
Maybe
We've had that.
longer.
We've had
thought it was
Cillian Murphy
2007.
for that long.
I'm looking it up right now. I think Sunshine was 2007, but I could be... Oh, shit, I was right, 2007.
Wow.
Jesus,
I'm like
I
the
feel
Rain
so
Man of
old.
movie dates.
God, that was before Mark Strong was Mark Strong. You didn't even know he was in that movie until years later.
Mark Strong had a long period of 5 years where he was in everything, and then he kind of fizzled out, which is a shame, because Mark Strong should be in everything.
He's making a comeback. He's the villain in Shazam.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That's kind of weird, considering he was Sinestro before.
It is odd. It's like, he's getting a second crack. What's the name of the character he's playing? Fucking Dr.
Dr. Satana.
Yes.
Or Savannah, rather.
Savannah,
that
yes.
sounds slightly better than Satana.
Though there is another character in that mythology named Satana, and they do hook up occasionally.
I'm
Yeah.
not surprised.
But
Mr.
I was just
Tucker.
so disappointed he was cast in Captain Marvel as a character other than Mr. Mind. Imagine
Could've combined 'em.
a tiny CGI caterpillar with mental powers, voiced by Mark Strong, with his accent.
I would watch that. I would appreciate it. But to jump back, honestly, one, yeah, Sunshine's amazing. Go watch that when you have time. I'm gonna pressure you into that now that I know you haven't seen it. 2, boy, the Frighteners. I keep saying Frighteners. That's how it's been in my mind for years. I was shocked for some reason at some point when I found it was Frighteners.
That is maybe a better title. I can't argue with that.
For years, I thought it was The Frighteners, and I held the fucking physical media in my hand, could read,
This
so I don't
sounds like a
understand how I
Stephen
got that
King
confused.
novel.
The Frighteners! But it feels like this should have been Tales from the Crypt 2 instead of Bordello of Blood. Like, it works so well.
I like
It
how
has
I've
a
just
super
ruined
big-
this all for you. These reveals.
Not enough people know about The Frighteners. I really, really appreciate and like that movie. Even like the dated CGI isn't that bad, and it's fairly held within. There's a couple of ghost jokes that don't quite work anymore because the CGI is dated, and a couple of moments where like the Grim Reaper character kind of pops out and looks a little funky. But by and large, the effects hold up good. The physical stuff is fantastic. All of the actors are amazing and sell the fact that they're in a B movie, but they're not acting like it. And it's Peter Jackson before he did The Hobbit and just decided to like go gigantic. The director's cut of The Frighteners is one of my favorite movies. I love it a lot.
It's weird to think that there's still anything in Peter Jackson's catalog that's not talked about. But no, people like even like Dead Alive is still like a huge cult classic. Like it's weird.
Yeah.
Dead Alive gets talked about way more than The Frighteners.
Well, I can understand it. So his early movies are balls to the wall gore and offensive and just big movies in low budgets. He was essentially like, hey, I'm in charge of myself. I can do what I want. And then when he gets to Frighteners, it's like there's a budget behind it and he has to answer to other people. So he's trying to make something that's not as outrageous. But it's still a Peter Jackson flavor. So he ends up with something a little bit more subdued, which I think is why people don't respond to it the same way. I like it a lot. I mean, I'm not trying to, dump on it. But I just think he made something that's a little more subdued, kind of I think it's rated R, but it's like a PG-13 in my mind. And that's enough for people to kind of distance themselves from it. It's this weird transition period between giant blockbusters and small, personal, offensive, weirdo, gross-out films.
And it stars Michael J. Fox, which has always fascinated me.
It's a really good performance from Michael J. Fox, too. He's not just phoning it in or doing like the same thing he's done 100 times before. He's reaching out a little bit to kind of play a little bit of a different scumbag character.
Yeah, it's always fascinated me. It's like that's not the last movie he starred in, wasn't it?
I'm probably confused because I know he's done some guest appearances on things like Scrubs.
I'm sure he's done
And
movies
he's done
after
voice work for,
Frighteners.
like, yeah.
That's the last time I remember him leading a movie, though, because I was like at the very tail end of him being a big deal.
Oh yeah, that was late '90s, so it was towards the end before he kind of shied away from it and started doing like voice work or TV
Sin City.
stuff. What is wrong with pencils? What were we talking about in this commentary?
I don't know.
We went downhill pretty quickly.
We're stuck on Michael
we went
J.
down
Fox.
Quill 4 more quickly this time.
We went downhill, but we had a good oomph until, oh god, we still have like another hour to go.
Yep.
I like how the commentary we're listening to right now serves only to confuse us during pauses.
Also, this
We
is
got
why
cats with Infinity Gauntlets. I got stuff to talk about.
this is why I hate Peter Jackson now. The ball has been in his court for years to
Are we
make
talking
another
Tintin
10-10, and
Yep.
it's just and he just won't do it. It's like
There were comments the other
Spielberg, yeah,
weeks
just
ago.
while promoting Ready Player One.
Yeah, he said like, that's still on the docket. And honestly, fuck it, it's all voice actors. They can do whatever. Boy, I would love a Tintin 2 a whole lot.
Tintin is so good.
We've
Could
been
we just have
promised it so
Spielberg
long.
do Tintin 2? I mean, not that I'm opposed to Jackson doing it. I just want more Tintin. I feel
Yeah,
like
just have Spielberg do it. Have Wright
I
do
mean,
it. He was supposed to do the
traditionally-
third one, so
I mean, traditionally how animation goes, like there's multiple people, like there's several directors for animation and then one director who gives the overall guidance when they need it. I feel like you still have Peter Jackson do a knockout job with that. I say shit about Peter Jackson, but I feel like studio shit kind of spoiled The Hobbit in the first place. And I'm bitter because they dropped Guillermo del Toro, who would have been my number one pick to do that. Like, yeah, that'd be amazing. and The Lovely Bones was not my favorite. I didn't really care for it much, but I haven't read the book, so maybe it appeals more to people who have read the source material. I have a hard time going against Peter Jackson, considering all the great things he's given us, considering he's made Weta Studios, who has done so many great effects. I'm not even thinking of the big CGI effects. I'm thinking of fucking Black Sheep. God damn, do I love the puppet sheep zombies they use in that movie. I love it. Like, I have a hard time talking smack about Peter Jackson because he's given so much back to the film community, and he seems like he cares a lot about his projects.
I feel like Peter Jackson still has at least one more great movie in with him.
No, he's a young guy. If he wanted to, he could pump out a ton of movies. Spielberg does like fucking 2 a year. I don't understand how that machine works.
Peter Jackson's great, but he's in the shithouse until he fucking either makes Tintin or relinquishes it.
That's true. Get a goddamn Tintin 2, man. Come on. Also, here's a fun fact. Before I reveal the number, let's have a game.
Oh,
Jamie,
no.
guess the height of Michael J. Fox.
I've always thought of him as kind of a short dude, so maybe a 5'5".
5'5". Mike, guess the height of Michael J. Fox.
4'7".
The correct height is 5 foot 4 inches and 1/2 inch.
I'm closest without going over.
What? No, you both went over.
I don't know. I just wanted to say that.
No, Jamie was clearly correct there. He's only off by like a 1/2 inch.
Well, he's so tiny. That's adorable.
It's very short. That's only a 1/2 inch taller than my ex-girlfriend, and she was a short woman.
Just think, Cody, you could pick up Michael J. Fox and put him on your shoulders.
We could
Why
have
don't you
adorable
do that,
adventures
Cody?
together.
Why don't you pick up Michael J. Fox and carry him around against his will?
No. Only if he's cool with it. But if Michael J. Fox was cool with me picking him up and putting him on my shoulders and we just ran through a field, wouldn't that be nice?
Hey, man, that's not cool.
And then you cured his Parkinson's that way.
Michael J. Fox is an incredible human being. I feel like he's owed being carried around on somebody's shoulders like Yoda.
I agree. Oh, that would be adorable.
And we know now he's a tiny, little, just pebble of a man. So it wouldn't be that much. And he's old, so I assume he's very light and that his bones are mostly hollow at this point.
Probably. So this is only vaguely related, but I spent a few mornings ago watching 90s commercials on YouTube for like an hour.
Oh, no.
And one of them had Christopher Lloyd as an annoyed cab driver.
Okay.
And might be his finest role. Just he is putting in a performance while telling these annoying kids in his backseat, one of which is Mr. Reese from The Dark Knight. This commercial was from 1998, by the way.
Oh, so Mr. Reese is really young. Mr. Reese?
My God, he's the Riddler. Anyway, go on.
I didn't have a lowercase question mark to use in that joke.
Yeah, have another drink.
I'll be back in a minute. I have to get more beer.
You do that, buddy.
And a can opener.
So, Jamie.
Anyways, keep explaining this. Also, before I leave, did you guys see the George Lucas commercial that was posted at Gizmodo today?
No.
Let me share that link before I leave, because
we're not watching anything while doing it.
It's just a GIF. It's just a GIF. It's terrifying. It's George Lucas transforming from a camera into George Lucas. Look at that picture and just be terrified. I'll be back in 30 seconds.
What happened?
I like how his presence has to be felt even when he's not in the room. But Mike, what was the item being sold in this commercial?
Fucking collect calling.
I'm so nostalgic for the days of 1-800-CALLATT.
It
Sorry,
actually
I
was
missed
not
the
what
react.
800 Collect. It was the other one that was popular at the time. That was just a
Sorry, I
series of
missed-
numbers. It wasn't anything catchy.
Did you guys see the horrifying camera George Lucas?
Yes, Cody, we saw the horrifying camera.
I was
George
gone.
Lucas.
I didn't hear the reaction. Were you horrified?
I was silently horrified. Yes.
Good. Okay. This is my Hellraiser 4.
So the other fucking commercial discovery I made was I did not know Jeremy Renner was a commercial star in the late 90s.
He did a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Now he sells houses. He does some makeup. He sells, whatever. Commercial products.
He tells whatever.
Sells. I didn't pronunciate well, but,
Cody, I can't do this for another hour, man.
I know. It's so long. I'm still looking up Jamie Lee Fox or Michael J. Fox.
Oh, Jamie Lee Fox.
No wonder I can't find anything good. I'm looking at the wrong name. Also, interesting thing. So, The Frighteners was his last main physical role. He also had a small part in Mars Attacks as Jason Stone, same year.
Oh, yeah.
And then he transitioned to voice work. He did Stuart Little in 99. He did Atlantis in 2001. Spin City ran from 96 to 2001. He was
Jesus.
that.
That was
Yeah,
a
that
big
went
show.
over than expected, right? Interstate 60 episodes of The Road. This thing I've never heard before. He was Mr. Baker. Stuart Little 2, Clone High. Scrubs, he was in 2 episodes. Stuart Little 3. I didn't know they made a 3. He was Stuart Little in that.
That was the all CGI one.
Yeah. Boston Legal, he was in 6 episodes of that. Not the main dude, because I think Shatner's on the front of that poster. Rescue Me, he was in 5 episodes, 2009. Something called The Magic 7, which was a TV movie in 2009. He was Marcel Maggot. Phineas and Ferb, he was in 1 episode as a Michael/werewolf.
What?
He was basically a pastiche of Teen Wolf. The Michael J. Fox Show, which was 22 episodes in 2013. He was Mike Henry. So do you think in the Michael J. Fox Show, Mike Henry was Michael J. Fox? Or was he playing a character on the Michael J. Fox Show and someone else was Michael J. Fox?
That's always been a TV thing if they name it after the main actor or comedian. The show title's always the real name, and then he's playing a fake character in the show.
Huh. Well, I learned something today. In Annie, he played Michael J. Fox, the Annie remake in 2014. Other than that, let's see, we got The Good Wife, something called Archie.
Something called Archie.
Well, okay, there's a period after each letter in Archie, and there's a picture of a dog. So I don't know what Archie stands for.
This is the new Arch Comics reboot. They're part of a spy squad.
No, that's Scoob.
His last couple of credits, he's been like Michael J. Fox. In Nightcap, he's Michael J. Fox. In Curb Your Enthusiasm, Michael J. Fox. 2 episodes. Designated Survivor, he was Ethan West in 5 episodes. He had a recurring part. And his most recent title, Archie 2. He voiced Archie. That was 2018.
What a fucking fascinating trip down memory lane that was.
They killed time, Mike. We had time to kill. I'm trying to help.
I just imagine you as an old man. We killed time. As you confess.
We are gods. Gods do not die.
I didn't know time until I was a man, and then it was only aging, blinding.
Cody, I would love to see you on the Congress floor trying to filibuster a bill with the IMDb page on Michael J. Fox.
Mr. Alf goes to Washington. Now, right here in the bill, it says that Michael J. Fox played. Michael J. Fox is himself in Curb Your Enthusiasm in 2 episodes, several years apart. Now, I know that's a lot of time, but you can remember back to that. Let me tell you about Curb Your Enthusiasm. I've never seen it, but I've heard it's great. And it's made by... I feel like I'm going more and more into Morty, freaking Morty.
Yeah, you really
feels
are.
like you're... It sounds like your Shaggy voice if you got kicked in the balls.
Yeah. I just want to take a moment. Folks at home, box office boppers, as we like to call you.
You were against that originally. You did not like the term boppers.
Yes, I know you. I think you brought it up in the last commentary, actually.
Good.
I am. Yeah, actually, you did bring it up in the commentary we're currently listening to. I am so very sorry for this. This is not a good representation of what we are. Yet it kind of is.
It's how we interact when we're not recording. So, it's fair.
Yeah. You're usually more sober. Usually.
No, it's all a certain level of drunk.
That's our new slogan, box office pulp. All different levels of drunk.
Look,
and that'd be our new tagline. That's a legitimately good tagline. Can we get business cards and say that?
And then in parentheses, stupid.
No, on the back and just on the bottom of the front it says turnover.
Okay, that would actually cost you. But you can get free business cards, like a proof of purchase kind of thing. Or, most places will offer that. Like you strike up a couple just to see what they look like. You can order cheap, the first 50, maybe 100.
You've thought of this, haven't you?
Oh, I had a friend in college who printed up a bunch of business cards for himself for no reason. You can do it cheap.
I've always wanted to do that and hand it to people. Just because, technically, I am professionally Mike Napier, so it actually kind of works.
No. You can only consider yourself professional if you get paid for doing your job. We're amateur, man. I haven't received a cent for this.
You haven't.
Amateur Flexo.
What a depressing notion. We're all ourselves pro bono.
Ladies.
Box Office Pulp is looking for sponsors. If you're Audible or Squarespace, give us a call. There's like a 40-year-old man in his underwear just quietly crying to himself. Come on, Audible, come on in.
I killed time.
I killed time. Come on, Audible.
Okay, I want to pitch something to you guys.
Okay.
No, there's no time.
Cody killed it.
Go on.
Okay, we have 3 separate Patreons we start. Each mutually exclusive. There's no crossover or anything. 3 Patreons where we try to get people to pay us monthly for being ourselves. We don't release any content.
You're
We just have a Patreon with tiers.
You're trying to find a way so people can make you professionally Jamie.
Yes, that is exactly.
So wait, do we need to release like images or anything of us being ourselves, or just like purely honor based?
Yeah, man.
That counts as content in about.
Okay.
The distinction here is paper thin. As long as people pay you to do the thing you said, you're a professional at that thing. That's all it takes. Honestly, amateur just means you haven't figured out a way to monetize the thing you're doing.
But here's the thing. You would still have tiers, but it would be like, if Mike makes $100 this month, he goes to Whataburger.
When you say tears, I just imagine it's Mike weeping while eating Whataburger.
That's all I keep picturing. Also, more of a Habit Grill man myself.
Oh, fancy.
Where's Whataburger? I don't have any around me. Where does that regionally take hold?
It's very random. Like, they're all over America, but they're super localized. Like, I think the Whataburger in my town is the only Whataburger in, 2 states.
Well, Whataburger is, more southern, right? I mean, I haven't ever seen one in the Midwest.
This is a thing we're discussing, right?
If you're listening at home, where's your Whataburger? Tell us now. And where's your Shake Shack? I want to know so I can not go there.
So, going back to this Patreon for a second. So, if someone pays $100, essentially it's like the promise that I'll go see a movie I want to see.
Yep. You'll just be further Mike.
I like the idea of that. Further my...
Also, I just want to put a pin in this to say we're discussing the moment we decide to do the Inception commentaries.
I hate our past selves.
Now we're here. We dropped the bomb.
Earlier today, I was
I am
thinking about
become
the fact
death.
that we
Destroyer podcasts.
Destroyer podcast. Earlier today, I was thinking about the concept that, we only really appreciate a thing when it's in the past. The current thing we have going right now, we don't think about so much. It's like, yeah, whatever. And then 10 years we look back, it's like, that was a nice thing. I'm looking at a year back in the past right now. I'm listening to a year back in the past right now. Not feeling that nostalgia. No, I'm not like, boy, things were good a year ago. I'm like, oh, man. The bottomless pit is bottomless. You keep falling.
You know what I
we were
can't
all
wait
so
for?
much more whole.
You know what I can't wait for? In a few minutes, I think we start doing the bad podcast thing of talking about the podcast.
Oh, I'm trying to avoid us talking about the podcast because no one wants to hear that. I don't want to hear that.
It's gonna come. It's gonna happen. We have to listen to it.
Come it will, I'm sure. You wanking up, eventually it comes. I don't want to get to that point.
I mean, eventually, yeah, but you can shut down the tubes eventually if you just keep doing it.
Yeah, we can talk about all sorts of things. Cat
how
Dracula.
after I said that, the Inception sound went off. The original commentary. That was a magical moment for me personally.
We're doing placeholders, sure. We can add one for the future.
It's nice to shoot it off every once in a while. It's another dick reference.
Dun 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 dun.
No.
Mike specifically requested the opposite, Cody.
Tee-hee. It's a live recording. You can't stop me. That's the best part.
What happened to your what device did you have to make music for a while?
Oh, the xylophone. Do you want me to get that?
No, I couldn't remember the name of it, and I was thinking about it in the shower earlier.
It's xylophone. It's amazing because I can actually hear me doing the exact same fuck up on the Terminator theme in the commentary.
And us screaming at you.
Yeah, I haven't gotten any better in the last year. I didn't practice. This is what happens when you don't practice. You stay shitty.
Why would you be practicing? You have
so
Legos to put together.
The Terminator thing. That's true. I've done that. So everyone at home, I want to make you a little jealous. My hand is currently sitting on top of the Ghostbusters headquarters Lego set.
Oh, I'm so jealous, Cody.
It's real nice. Oh, there's a little tiny air conditioner on the second floor.
Does it work?
No, but, it's Lego. You don't expect it to work.
Well,
there's a little tiny zombie cab driver sitting on the floor. There's Slimer. He's holding a hot dog. It's real cool.
So this is fun. I was in Toys R Us last week, and they had the Ghostbusters sets, and it was like 30% off or something, and I almost bought it to spite Cody.
You should have. It's the most fun I've ever had building a Lego set. It's so good. You'd have a full day of just... If I can backtrack a little. The only time I don't hate my physical being is when I'm building Lego. It's a perfect Zen tree.
What an amazing quote.
Can that be on the box?
Can that be on a business card?
Sure. You can just spend a couple hours building something and not be you. And it's so nice. It's like the Zen I imagine that people who make bonsai trees go through. Or like those little sand parks where they run the rakes through the sand to make nice little patterns around rocks. Building a nice, 2,000 part Lego is the greatest piece you will experience in your life. You will have selflessness for those 2 hours where all you're doing is putting little bricks together. And when you're done, you'll feel sad because you have to be yourself again. But boy, the hours you spend putting this thing together, ooh, baby.
So what if a year from now, Cody died from choking on a Lego, and we have to listen to him talk about how awesome Legos are?
I'd be happy. No, I died happy.
Exactly. That's a beautiful way for you to go out, Cody.
That is the best way to go out. And there's some good stuff coming up in the next couple of months. There's several Harry Potter sets representing the first, second, and third years of the movies. The
What's
Great
the-
Hall, the Hogwarts Express, the
What's-
Whomping Willow. Those are all coming out. I want those. If
what's
I
the-
die building the Whomping Willow, everything's okay.
What? What's the rip-off Lego company?
Lepin. Lepin. I don't know how it's pronounced. It's a Chinese company called Lepin, Lepin. They make the exact same Lego sets that are out there, but from knockoff molds, so maybe the pieces don't fit together as snugly, but they're pretty much the same.
Okay, what if you died from one of those pieces? Like somebody else was putting it together and it fucked up, flew through the air into an open window where you were yawning.
So one,
After
I
a
wanna be
long and beautiful day of putting together Legos, I'm going to hit the sack and dream of Legos and cat Draculas. And it went into your throat and you died.
I want to present a hard ass who's like, Lego or die, bitch, ride or die. But
Kill
honestly,
time.
a lot of roll tide. A lot of people can't afford some of these Lego sets. They're expensive. I'm fortunate enough to have a job that pays me too much money for the amount of knowledge I have, so I buy expensive things.
I'm
But
still
there's some
pretty
people out
sure
there
Cody
that
has no
deserve
idea what he
a piece
does.
of Lego. I'm a software developer, senior software developer, thanks to my promotion.
With your
More
briefcase
Lego
full of
money for
crackers.
me. Mm.
Oh, Lego money indeed. 6 digits, bitch. But just because I make more money doesn't mean I deserve more happiness. So someone who's poor
I'm glad you realized that, Cody, after all this time.
all these years, no, someone who's poor should be able to buy a Lepin and have a good time building the Millennium Falcon. I don't think I should question their motives for building out of cheap bricks.
I wish I had Soviet music queued up on my phone to play.
I'm crying.
Fucking power to the people, Coaster.
Okay, Cody, now
To the core of my being, I honestly believe that. Like, just because you have money does not mean you should be happier than someone who's poor. That's a weird thing.
No
like
shit.
money, honestly,
No-
money makes things easier so you can access happiness, but that's kind of fucked up.
okay. Cody, how about this? Why don't you buy Legos and then donate them to other
There's a
people?
thing that you can do every year, yeah, like Toys for Tots and different programs around.
Yes, I'm aware. Why
Wherever
don't you do that?
Oh, because I'm a bad person.
I'm just glad we got it out in the open.
No, I don't deny that. I mean, I donate, but it's kind of like I was thinking about this the other day. I gave a homeless guy like $5 is all I had in my wallet, so I don't carry cash often because homeless people ask for it. And it occurred to me like, okay, so Batman with all his wealth could honestly do gigantic improvement projects for a city that would eliminate a lot of homelessness. But there's also Batman like handing out $5 bills to homeless people so they don't like freeze to death during the night. And like short term if he does the $10, $15 thing, and it's a big deal if he does the big money thing. But one's exciting to see on cinema. Like you'd want to see Batman punch bad guys who are trying to hurt homeless people. But what makes more sense is Batman like funding, homes for charity kind of things where they build houses for homeless people.
This has nothing to do with whatever the fuck Cody's currently rambling about incoherently. So,
Yeah, no, what I'm saying is like all I do is the small money. Like I hand money to homeless people and I feel bad because I can't do more. But I honestly could do more. I could help. I could try and organize something bigger. I don't. It's like, here's $5 to a homeless guy. That's as far as I go.
so this was last week. I was walking, when I was walking around town, I got stopped by someone who wanted me to donate to Dare. I got out of that situation.
One. Dare still exists? I thought that was a
I-
90s
It does, yeah.
What?
They're back,
So
actually.
gorillas
Like,
are
they just
right.
came back
It's
like a couple months
Dare.
ago. So he gave me a high five, the guy.
All right.
And also, this was like months ago, and it's also kind of semi-related. In the same spot, there were two chicks running the booth that day, and I had like a fucking just small Starbucks tea, like a tiny one, and
Like
they
you're wearing
stopped
a
me to
blue
say to donate, and then sarcastically called me Mr. Starbucks because I guess that means I have money. So
I mean, it is more expensive than most other brews.
it was tea, and it was $1.50.
Well, I'm so confused. Starbucks has tea?
Yeah, they've had tea for a long time.
I don't go into Starbucks. I don't know. I'm not Mr. Moneybags. See what I
There's a
did?
delightful green
See
tea.
what I did?
Now, if you're collecting money, I think being sarcastic about the wealth of this person walking around town in below 10-degree weather without a car is a bad move.
Yeah, no, it's not great. It's not good PR.
Anyway,
I like to imagine later in the day they just walked up to a homeless person like, oh, look at you, Mr. Manycoats.
there is a homeless person near that area who roams around in a wheelchair. He only has one leg.
Oh,
Anyway,
wish
that
I
was-
had your seat, sir.
Look at us standing out in the cold, you sitting down. You give to dare. That completely useless company. So I dodge him last week. Be like, I'm gonna go get some money. I'll be right back. I just went a different way. But
Oh, you
So-
lied to the poor man.
I once again walk out of Starbucks because I had a free lunch. That's the only time I eat at Starbucks is when I actually have free something. So I just have a free meal.
Don't they only have like croissants and breakfasty kind of things?
No, they have like sandwiches and shit. I had a chicken and artichoke sandwich. It was delightful.
There we go. Starbucks. Go eat there. Promote Box Office Pulp. Please promote us.
Give us
Starbucks.
money. Give us money to be ourselves. So I'm sitting down
Make us
outside.
professional.
I'm sitting down outside. It's a beautiful day. I'm putting my briefcase down. I have a iced cappuccino, very small.
Yeah.
And my fucking chicken sandwich. A homeless guy comes up and asks me if I have any money. I tell, as I'm taking my sandwich out to enjoy the nice summer air, as I eat outside of Starbucks, I say, I don't have anything on me.
Since I moved to the Twin Cities, I've had to say that a lot. Because a lot of times it's true. A lot of times I don't carry cash on me. I'll go to bars and be like, open a tab. And it's really sad because I do that so I don't have to like give money to every person I see on the street. Because if I had money, I'd give it away. But that's such a weird thing to be like, no, don't bother me. I don't have anything.
I actually didn't have cash on me, but that's not the point.
Well, no, I do that all the time too. Like, I don't have cash on me. I physically have stopped myself from getting cash, putting in my wallet. I'll just use my credit card. If I have no cash, they have nothing to get from me, and I feel bad about it later.
It's 2018. Why isn't he asking for cryptocurrency?
Venmo.
Why doesn't he have one of those swipey things attached to PayPal on his iPhone?
Square.
Exactly, Square. I
Oh,
have
that
one
would
of
be-
those in case I want to open a business.
Why do you have... What business are you going to open where you need a Square right now?
I
He'd
don't
find an
know.
excuse. It's cool.
Maybe
No,
I
I'm
wanna
the guy
sell
who spends money
cupcakes or something.
recklessly.
Why don't you
Even
go
I'm
fuck
like,
yourself?
I don't need a Square. On
Oh,
the
we're talking
commentary
about the
right now,
ending of The
we're talking
Departed
about
again.
the ending of Departed, which
We do
we
it a
still
lot.
do on a daily basis.
We do it a lot.
Good movie.
See, this is why I wish MB were here, because between that commentary and now, he's watched The Departed.
You guys, is it weird to you guys that everyone refers to The Departed as Scorsese's gimme Oscar? Like he didn't deserve it for The Departed, but he got it for that?
I think we may have discussed that in the previous commentaries. It's really weird.
It is weird. Like, The Departed, even though it's a remake of Infernal Affairs, like, it's a goddamn good movie.
It's an
It's
excellent
top shelf
movie.
Scorsese.
Yeah, and Scorsese's made a lot of great films. Sure, give him a gimme Oscar. Like, maybe, yes, he had it coming from before. Even stuff that people think of as a misfire, like Gangs of New York or Hugo, great stuff. Better than most other directors can ever hope to put to film. So anytime they're just going to give an Oscar to Scorsese's, not a bad thing.
I agree. Enough said.
Good night, everybody. Then just
Interestingly
an
enough,
hour
I
of silence.
did actually reread Gangs of New York, the book that Scorsese's based the movie on. And it's hilarious because the book and the movie basically share zero facts. Like Scorsese's went, oh, that's an interesting bit. What if I combined it with something that happened 100 years later? And he just did it. Turns out Gangs of New York, the movie, factually accurate in the fact that he just picked different things from different decades and gangs and just amalgamated them all together. So it's not historically accurate, but If you went in piece by piece and picked it apart, yeah, sure. Those are all things that happened.
I feel like what's important is the amount of truth per capita.
That's kind of it. Like, if you look at it as a whole, no, it's very wrong. But if you look at it in the moment, that's a thing that happened.
Why do I feel like that's going to be a White House press conference in a couple of weeks?
Oh,
If you look at the president's statement, there is more truth in those words than in a single statement by Barack Obama. They're just not in the right order.
In the moment, he believed what he was saying, which makes it true. But if you look at the previous moment, he did not believe it, so it was not true. But in the moment, it was correct, so it's a 100% factual. Also, weird thing. So, Bill the Butcher, Gangs in New York, like, he was a bigger-than-life kind of character. Died way before the movie took place. And basically, Scorsese looked at him and was like, nope, that guy's got to be one of the antagonists. And he just lifted him like 50 years into the future. So, like, Bill the Butcher died because some guy walked into a bar and just shot him. And, like,
In the
days
back
later,
over the matter of $30.
I don't remember what it was, but it was like they basically got him for a fight and he just got shot. So as he lay in his bed dying, like 3 days later, he basically like pulled the doctor close and mumbled something, and someone thought it might have been "I Die a True American," but they're not really sure. So the whole ending of Gangs of New York is basically Scorsese's going, "What if I just made up history and it was fun?"
I am all for people making history fun.
That's it. Like, he took history, which is the riots that people were fighting for in the movie Gangs of New York. Those were a real thing. The draft riots were a gigantic, huge riot throughout those places. Bill the Butcher was long dead by the time they happened, but he just went, it'll be more interesting if we have like a bad guy to focus on. So he did it that way. And for a movie, I have no complaints about that. It's just not in any way historically accurate. It's kind of like people look at Gladiator and go, yeah, that's how history played out. Why are we talking about Matt Damon?
Oh, because this is me telling you guys about the time MB and I are obsessed with the time Werner Herzog saved Matt Damon's life by pulling him one-armed out of the wreck of a burning car.
I don't remember this. Go ahead and explain again for the second time in 2 years.
So Werner Herzog comes across a car accident in some highway in California, some winding tree-covered highway, comes up, reaches down into the flaming car wreck, and pulls out the passenger with one arm, and that passenger is Matt Damon.
I can't say I'm surprised, even though I've heard the story a year before. Herzog seems like the kind of guy who would do something that insane. Like, he would be a hero. He'd be a real-life goddamn hero who has a movie dedicated to him.
I said it a year ago, and I'll say it now. Matt Damon was saved in real life.
Herzog brought him home.
Herzog always is surprising. Like, the fuck that... Goddamn, I'm still wrapping my mind around the fact that he is, like, the main bad guy in Jack Reacher 1. Who just shows up and he has this weird backstory of, like, I chewed off my own fingers so I could escape the rats. Like, it's such a weird as fuck thing, but you're like, it's Werner Herzog, so he immediately has weight. Why the fuck isn't he a Bond villain by now?
I've got to show you guys Incident at Loch Ness.
Oh, I think you mentioned that in the commentary. Like, we've been dying to watch that.
Is Herzog the Loch Ness Monster? Is he a plesiosaur?
Yes, he's actually the Loch Ness Monster from the 1990s film Loch Ness.
Ooh, the one with Ted Danson?
Yes. Thank you. I was actually on TV, so I was reminded of it the other day, but still, it's a deep cut.
One deep cut deserves another.
I killed time.
This was a suicide joke.
Also, you just said, you guys gotta watch it, Incident at Loch Ness.
No, you don't.
And I said it the year before that, and the year before that, and the year before that.
Mike, I don't believe you. We've known each other for how many years now, and I still don't believe you. If you're
Zach Penn was in that movie
right now.
Zach Penn made
the previous
that movie.
Commentary, we're talking about a woman in an American flag bikini being saved by Werner Herzog. So, like, yeah, you can understand why we're distracted, because that's a hell of a picture to paint.
Cody, is Werner Herzog the fucking evil version of Werner Herzog that he must battle on his birthday?
I was curious if we were going to address it.
Is he in the Legion of Doom with John Badman?
You could say on the reverse.
Still think my favorite real life Werner Herzog Herzog.
Jesus Christ.
Can't say my words.
Oh, German man.
German man who directed good movie, Nosferatu remake good. Werner Herzog. One of my favorite stories from him is when he was talking about John Waters. And someone comes up to him, he's like, you know he's gay, right? And he's like, what? No, I never knew. And just the fact that Werner Herzog could not understand that people are gay, just does not understand homosexuality, and just assumes all people are people, is kind of inspiring and weird and fascinating all at the same time, which is the perfect encapsulation of the man.
You just described Germans.
Okay, here's the thing. Like, you've watched American Gods, right, Cody?
I have, yes.
So Werner Herzog is one of those characters, right? Like, I believe Werner Herzog is an ancient god who has diminished in power from lack of
lost in America.
That's the only thing that explains him. Because look at him morally. He is so capable of works of tremendous kindness and heroism, and also terrible wrath. And his best friend was a demon.
Have you read the book American Gods, or have you just watched the TV show? He is the goddamn goblin in fucking Wisconsin.
I forget that character's name, but like the dude who was trapping little girls under the ice.
Yes, that's fucking Werner Herzog. Like, that's like, he's doing a huge bonus for the community, like keeping them stable, keeping them prosperous, but he's also murdering children in his spare time. That's what I imagine is the real world equivalent.
Werner Herzog is secretly the king of the elk.
I mean, if we can be serious though for a minute, goddamn, Brian Fuller, God, stick with that fucking project.
It's insane at this point, right?
He just left Vampire Chronicles. God damn it, man!
What?
As a fan, yes, as a fan, I'm asking you, just bite the bullet, stick with the project for 2 years, then leave. Don't leave before the project even starts. Don't leave before it gets halfway through its first season. Leave when it's done the first season or second season. Come on.
Just try it once, Mr. Fuller. I think you'll enjoy it.
We love you. Oh, goddamn. It's not an exaggeration if I extend myself to Jamie. Boy, come on. You made some good stuff. You've made some amazing things. The best television ever made. Don't leave us. Hannibal 1, 2, and 3 are some of the best things ever committed to celluloid.
That's his one. Hannibal was his one thing he wanted to make. Everything. He just wants to be in production meetings now and tweet in all caps. That's all he wants.
Why does he tweet in all caps?
I don't know, but I'm fine with it. Pushing Daisies 1 and 2? God damn. I'm sad that the last episode was just an abridged season 3, but just imagine if all of the events that happened in 3 were full to a season. The 3 seasons of Pushing Daisies would have been a real nice trilogy.
Brian Fuller is such an odd figure in the history of television. He's like Steve Gerber.
I get mad because I love his project so much. Even after he leaves them, his touch is still found there. But it's so frustrating. And on the other hand, maybe he stays too long. Like, I love Hannibal Season 3. It's a great, great season. But boy, the ending of Season 2 is one of the toughest gut punches of a season ending you could ever ask for. I think Season 2 ends on what, if the show had ended right there, the best ending of a show ever. Like, the ballsiest ending of a show ever.
That would have been kind of amazing.
Like, he didn't know he was getting renewed at the end of Season 2, but he just pulled that. He's like, that's an ending. And he's right, it's an ending. But goddamn, the ending of Season 2, spoilers, is Hannibal wins, Hannibal kills everyone, Crawford dies fucking stabbed in the neck in a wine cellar, while his cancer-riddled wife survives past him to die months later. Will, the main character of the show, even though it's called Hannibal, is stabbed and dies, imagining the nightmare stag he's been picturing throughout the first 2 seasons dying in front of him. Abigail Hobbs, who he thought had died before, dies again in front of him. Will's love interest is thrown out a window and dies, and Hannibal walks out and away from the police as they approach the slaughter. What a fucking ending! Holy shit!
And Hannibal is so happy, just walking into the rain, just baptized by blood.
As an ending, that is the ballsiest thing ever. They were approved for season 3, which is still fantastic, and the ending of 3 is a hell of a thing as well. But man, the ending of season 2, if that was the finale of Hannibal, I think would go down in history books as the goddamn biggest balls to a season finale, series finale, ever.
God, could you imagine if they left with the end of season 1? Just what a note that would have been to end on. Like, oh, just kidding. This is actually Bizarro Hannibal.
Yeah, each season of Hannibal has ended on a note that makes you go, the fuck, that's impossible! Which I love so much. Like, that is some incredible show work.
Yeah, could you imagine if they do get to do Silence of the Lambs? What weird-ass note Fuller would leave that on?
I'm so excited. You can't imagine it'll end well for anyone but Hannibal. Hannibal will be okay. Everyone else will just have something horrible happen to them.
He is the anti-Dracula.
He is the anti-Dracula.
Oh, Mads as a cat would be adorable.
That's true. That's true.
He has done voice work before.
I'm very excited for Death Stranding, even though I don't have a PlayStation 4.
We're all excited to watch Let's Plays of it, essentially.
Oh,
pretty
aren't
much.
we? Yeah.
Has anyone seen the trailer to that Norwegian children's movie Mads was the lead in? Where I think it's called Newmans, and it's like a claymation thing with like a hippo who goes on an adventure, and it's fucking Mads. It's the most unsettling thing ever.
It's terrifying. It's really fucking weirds me out. It weirds me the fuck out that here Mads is Mads, and in his home country he does romantic comedies and shit.
He's Tom Hanks.
Yeah. I love that idea though. Somebody just goes to a different nation and all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, you went from Ryan Gosling to Satan. That's fine.
I wonder, do any of our stars do that? Like, is Tom Cruise a serial killer in Japan or something?
I think the closest we have is Matt Damon went from being Matt Damon in America to Pedro Pascal in China, starring next to Pedro Pascal, who's demoted one letter below that.
Well, in Japan, Shatner's still, relevant. Does that count?
Really? What? I think you're making that up.
I think he still does, commercials and shit there, like he's a big star. Grant, who doesn't, but still. Yeah.
No.
And, of course, Germans will always love David Hasselhoff.
It's true.
I mean, American audiences, they still get into that, too. I mean, fuck.
No, they don't.
SpongeBob did well, and they like Hasselhoff's little bit in there. Piranha 3 Double D had a Hasselhoff cameo.
Ironic love. Germans have legitimate, deep, passionate love for David Hasselhoff.
They buy the albums.
Look, I can understand that. As a person from Wisconsin, if any Wisconsinite is famous, we'll go for it. I explained this earlier. Willem Dafoe could do a spoken word album of Rocket Man, and I would buy that.
Well, that's
Cody,
just
sing
good,
Rocket Man.
Cody.
Rocket Man. I'm concerned. What are you using that for? Why did you want me to say it again?
We're trying to murder time.
Sing Rocket Man.
Rocket Man. Are we talking the old Rocket Man from Disney Channel?
God, if only. You know what? I changed my mind. Do Space Oddity.
Space... Wait, Oddity? I thought it was Odyssey.
It's Oddity.
Are we talking Bowie?
Yeah. Are you fucking serious right now? Yes, look up how wrong you are.
That's a frightening situation.
It is, okay. I was wrong. I will admit that one. It is Space Oddity.
Yeah, no shit.
Space Oddity.
This is a terrible commentary.
Yeah, we have another half hour to go.
Oh, God.
We're
Can't
less
do it.
broken down than we were last time.
No, I've
This-
been drunk for a long time. It's the only way I deal.
Now you admit the truth comes out.
Dude, the third beer is like 8%. I've been going ham.
Oh, God. I wonder how entertaining this is. Okay, Cody,
They're
sing
all tall
Space
boys.
Oddity.
I've been working.
Stop saying
You want me
tall
to sing?
boys.
There's a difference in the can size between a normal and a tall boy.
I know. Just stop saying tall boys. It's really disheartening. Now sing Space Oddity.
Fine. Hold on. Let me pull up the correct lyrics. Ground control to Major Tom. Ground control to Major Tom. Take your protein pills and put your helmet on. 10. Ground control. 9. To Major Tom. 8. 7. 6. Commencing. 5. Countdown. Engines on. 4. 3. 2. Check ignition. 1. And may God's love, liftoff, be with you. This is the instrumental bridge. This is ground control to Major Tom. You've really made the grade, and the papers want to know whose shirt you wear. Now it's time to leave the capsule, if you dare. This is Major Tom to ground control. I'm stepping through the door, and I'm floating in a most peculiar way. And the stars look very different today. For here I am, sitting in a tin can, far above the world. Planet Earth is blue, and there's nothing I can do. Though I'm past 100,000 miles, I'm feeling very still, and I think my spaceship knows which way to go. Tell my wife I love her very much. She knows! Ground control to Major Tom. Your circuit's dead. There's something wrong. Can you hear me, Major Tom? Can you hear me, Major Tom? Can you hear me, Major Tom? Can you? Ellipses. Here I am, floating around my tin can, far above the moon. Planet Earth is blue, and there's nothing I can do. Instrumental outro.
I'm sorry I made him do that.
You requested.
I know, and it's like I was this close to stopping you like the entire. I felt like Rocky holding the towel in Rocky 4, and
Just
the
throw it
audience
in,
is
just
Apollo
throw it in.
Creed getting beaten to death by Ivan Drago.
What I love is that did kind of sync up with the commentary. Also, this is completely unrelated, but I really want to play a mean joke on myself 1 year from now.
Do it.
So, that's going to be terrifying slowed down.
I mean, we did talk about Tom Waits earlier, so that was close enough. So next year, am I going to have to read the lyrics to Ashes to Ashes?
Then we'll come up with something. At least I don't put a rap beat underneath it.
Oh, next time we get Cody to do the instrumentals to Space Oddity on his stylophone.
Don't give him
It's gonna take
ideas.
some practice, but it's tempting. I mean,
just-
I've heard a rumor from ground control. Don't say it's true.
Shut up, Cody.
They got a message from the Action Man.
Shut up, Cody.
I'm happy. Hope you're happy too. As he drinks his beer.
You're having way too much fun, man.
You really are. We're
The best part,
miserable,
the
and you're
beer
just
I'm
having a good
drinking
time.
right now is Surly Brewing Company's Cynic Belgian-style pale ale.
Hey, I know
Great.
Works.
They're not
Nice.
giving us money, so it doesn't matter.
They won't. We're a very limited market.
All right, Cody, to return to a conversation from earlier in this nightmare, I have an idea for another Cody Patreon tier,
Okay.
and that's whenever you would reach a certain amount, however much would pay for the overhead on such an undertaking.
Yeah.
Can you get a sandbox, remove all the sand, and replace it with tiny, tiny blocks of sand-colored Legos. Then get yourself a Lego rake and just make yourself a little meditation thing where you just comb the Lego sand and I assume achieve enlightenment.
One, you just described heaven as I've always pictured it. Two, I'm currently on bricklink.com and I'm trying to look up sand pieces.
Why did you do this to us?
Because there's another half hour to kill. And we got Lego. So a sand base plate. You can get one of those for roughly $6. That's just the base plate though. That's like a 12 by 12 inch plate. What if you want a 1 by 2 sand brick? Those go for, oh my god, that's wrong.
That's a number.
Holy shit. So apparently they've retired this brick. A 1 by 2 sand red brick goes for $116.97 goddamn cents. There's 3 of them on Bricklink. No one has them. They're expensive.
You should get them. Get them.
Oh, that's decadent. Having a rare Lego brick.
Get it and mount it on your wall.
I remember as a child, there was a rare silver brick inside, like they used to sell plastic boxes of Lego. It was like a couple hundred pieces, and there was one silver brick inside of there as a collector's piece. And I had that silver brick. Like, each one of those boxes had it, but for me it was exciting because there's only one. As an adult, I don't know what to do with this brick. It's like a 2 by 3 or something, 2 by 4. It's not useful to have one silver chrome brick. But as a child, this was my prized possession.
I think that might be the most Cody quandary I've ever heard. As an adult, I don't know what to do with this Lego brick.
I know where it lives, but I have nothing to do with it.
I know where it lives.
Just like that kid you don't talk about.
There's a lot of kids I don't talk about.
Cody, I'm telling you, just get a stand, get a little plexiglass cover, and just put it on your mantle.
Are like a fucking Indiana Jones thing? Like if I remove it, a boulder's gonna crush people?
A Lego boulder.
That'd be fun.
It doesn't roll because it's square.
No. They did a whole Indiana Jones Lego thing years ago. And they had a plastic
I hate this
Lego
fucking
boulder.
commentary so much. How did it become us trying to survive Cody? I thought it was us supposed to be as an endurance trying to do this. But instead, we're trying to endure Cody. Shut the fuck up, Cody. I swear
all
to God.
commentaries are you trying to survive Cody. I can't believe you haven't pit the pieces together.
Yeah,
Put
well,
the pieces
fucking done,
together.
man. You're a professional
This
fucking
is the
podcaster.
struggle of man. No, I'm not. I'm not paid. I'm amateur.
Not the Patreon.
Damn it.
Box office pulp is the struggle of the common man against Dracula. Cody's the Dracula. I've been telling you for years, Dracula never wins, but you haven't gathered the stones to defeat me.
You're describing Dragon Ball Z, Cody. That's a completely different franchise.
This isn't even my final form. I'm just a man. But later, I'll be a Dracula, and you'll have to stake me.
I'm going to regret saying this so badly because I know how serious you're going to take it, but we have 20 minutes left. Cody.
17.
How many bricks and how much money do you think it would take
No.
for you to be able to Scrooge McDuck Lego piece? Just dive in and swim.
Or are you talking the pile of Scrooge McDuck money he has to dive through? Because that's actually a very big difference. You can make a Scrooge McDuck on the cheap. If you're talking the pile of money Scrooge McDuck has...
So I am.
Okay. So, according to Billfold.com, and this is how much money you need to realistically recreate the Scrooge McDuck Gold Coin Swim. We're talking the original series, not the remake, because I don't know anything about the remake. I saw the first episode is good.
You could be diving into Bitcoin for all I know.
Oh, no, he'd just be dead. He'd break his neck. There's no Bitcoin physical representation of Bitcoin. Okay, there's a lot of math equations I don't understand here. But the gist of it is Scrooge was privy to a cool $31.2 billion. This means only the richest 6 people in the world could afford to pull off the Scrooge swim. But that's swimming through gold, which, honestly, as a human being, you would die. You'd break your bones. They did this on Family Guy. You wouldn't make it through the gold. Calculating its velocity, roughly 5 meters per second squared, suggests this mountain, of which we cannot see the summit, has a slope of 35 degrees, putting a rough estimate of the entire hill at 73.5 billion. Is it possible that McDuck pushed together his wealth to make the monstrosity? In theory, yes. But the eye line of McDuck, fixed at 8 degrees over the horizon relative to the slope, suggests that there are at least 2 other such mounds, putting his total wealth at over 210 billion. And well beyond the meager 70 billion of richest man in the world, Carlos Slim Filho. Why is it I'm only learning the fact that the world's richest man is named Carlos Slim Filho right now? This article was not published yesterday. I don't understand why I'd never heard this man's name before. How have I never heard the name of the richest man in the world? Oh, dear God, this article was published in 2012. That probably explains it. He might be dead. He probably choked on dollars.
That's just you, Cody. Don't push that on other people.
It's true. As a child, I almost choked on pennies.
We've covered it.
If you follow the rules of global trends, equity markets, and grizzled anthropomorphic birds, you will be well on your way to a swan, or shall we say duck dive in nearly limitless gold, according to Matt Powers, writer of The Billfold.
But Legos, Cody.
Right, that's the problem. So a Lego brick, on average, costs, this is an average, so it's not accurate, and it changes depending on property. In a Star Wars thing, it could be as much as 0.6 cents per brick. In a normal, non-licensed property, Legos goes for something like 0.16. But, I mean, that's a penny per dollar ratio, so it's going to cost more than the money Scrooge McDuck has to fill his vault with bricks. Also, a brick is much smaller than a penny. Not thinner. I mean, a brick is thicker than a penny, even if you go for a single piece. But a penny has a wider... So if it takes 70 billion to fill up Scrooge McDuck's vault, let's do a little bit of math. 70, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. What is that, 70 million? Yeah, it is. 0, 0, 0. That's... Sorry, I'm bad at math. I'm an English major. 0, 0, 0, comma, 0, 0, 0, comma, 0... Oops. Typed that wrong.
Jamie?
0, 0, 0, comma, 0, 0, 0, comma, 0, 0, 0, comma, $70 billion. That's 70 followed by 3 sets of 3 zeros, 3 commas, times 0.16. So that is an average. Holy fuck. So the whole average, if you were to convert Scrooge McDuck's money into the equivalent of Lego bricks, and this is a rough average because some bricks cost more than others. If there's prints, they cost more. If they're licensed, they cost more. But if you were buying at the average that I just made up, which might not be the average, you are looking at a Scrooge McDuck fortune of $11.2 trillion of bricks.
I think you can afford it.
Not now.
I just don't buy the next Maze Runner. You should be able to save up enough.
They're done, man. I already bought all 3. I really should have waited for part 3. That was not worth spending $20 on. 17. I bought on sale. $17. It was not worth spending $17 on.
Well, Cody, you've kept us in suspense this entire commentary. Do they get out of the maze?
They get out of the maze in the first one.
Wow, he said that in such a condescending manner.
It's true.
You
if you
fucking
watch
idiot.
God, you dummy. They get out of the maze in the first one. That's why it's called the Maze Run. The second one is called the Scorched Trials because they're out of the maze and in the desert.
But he's still the Maze Runner.
He is, because he beat the maze and brought his friends. That's why the third one's called the Death Cure, because his blood is magic and it cures death, and they really should just figure out a peaceful way to harvest his blood. But instead he's like, what if everyone shot each other and I only survived because I'm lucky? And I just spoiled the Death Cure for you. You're welcome.
Oh, no.
The Death Cure is not a good movie. Don't. No one should be surprised because they had to wait several years because they broke the kid's face in half and they had to wait for him to heal before they made it.
Jesus.
Yeah, he fell off a train, which is like the first scene in the movie, and broke his face in half.
Oh, God.
It's not even an exaggeration. He literally cracked his skull.
And the train went up his dick?
I didn't hear that part, but exciting.
The entire train. No. That's just me referencing a Johnny Knoxville story.
God, the new Murder on the Orient Express had a shocking ending.
It did. Seriously though. Yeah, the new Murder on the Orient Express, pretty fun. Had a good time. Showed it to my mom. She enjoyed it. She fell asleep for the last 20 minutes, but still woke up in time to see the ending. Liked it.
Cool. I look forward to watching it.
Murder on the Nile. Gonna be fun. I'm excited for part 2.
I think it's cool that's going to be a series.
Yeah, it's weird. I did not expect that to do enough money where they're like, let's just keep making more of these.
No one did. We're getting that. We're getting a new Sherlock Holmes. It's just a good times. And I'm not even counting the Will Ferrell Sherlock Holmes that comes out this year.
I have forgotten about that one, too.
Most people have.
The fact that we're getting a Sherlock Holmes 3 after all these years is such a weird thing. I feel like they're overstating how much of a draw Robert Downey Jr. is to the box office.
I feel like people will still come out to see that.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
the second one went toe-to-toe with Avatar for about a week or two.
And people do love Downey.
That's true. I mean, I'll see it. I'll definitely see 3 right away. If they get Guy Ritchie back as the director, hell yeah.
The fact that people even remember Robert Downey Jr.'s Sherlock Holmes movies is a good sign. And I don't even mean that as like a shitting on those movies. Just mean it's been a really fucking long ass time, and there's been a lot
Sherlock
of things that happened
between.
Yes, a lot of things have happened.
I kind of feel like they timed it right because for a while everyone was real excited for Benedict Cumberbatch's Sherlock Holmes, and now they're not. Like after season 3, everyone was like, "Oh, this show's just okay." Like people really love the first 2 seasons; they don't care about any of the rest. And now they're to the point where it's like, "Hey, I loved Iron Man. What's he doing? Oh, no, Sherlock Holmes, perfect. I don't have to worry about the other one. Let's just watch this."
I feel like people are going to be happy just to see Downey
Do something
in
else.
something else. Yeah, 'cause that was something we were talking about just the other night, how weird it is that Downey has just been Iron Man for a really, really long time.
He did that one movie where he was like a lawyer.
The Judge.
The Judge. And that one other one where he like helped out a guy who was like a beautiful musician, but he was also
The Soloist.
The Soloist.
Soloist,
He also
yes.
had due dates. Like right after Iron Man, he was in a shit ton, and then all he could do was Iron Man for a while. And not because I don't think he was getting roles or anything, just he didn't have time to do anything else but play Iron Man.
He makes so much money being Iron Man, I don't feel bad. Like he made what did he make? Like $50 million fucking dollars for being in Homecoming? He's in that movie for like 10 minutes.
He's in there for what, 7 actually, I think?
I would love that job.
Yeah, I feel like that Robert Downey Jr. is living his best life right now.
I can't criticize that guy at all. Like, one, he did the whole exciting drug phase of his career. He got better. Now he's like, as a fan, people love Robert Downey Jr. He won't necessarily get critical recognition, but fans love that guy. He's a fan favorite. And he's been making hundreds of millions of dollars every couple of years just being in Marvel films. He's doing all right. I'm glad he made the turn he did.
I'm happy anytime an actor is able to go from being a punchline to being a big goddamn deal multiple times in their career.
And
we're talking about...
he hasn't even moved into his Robert Redford years yet.
Right? Yeah, he's still pretty young. That's the best part about it. Like, if you watch him in his films, like, he's not phoning it in. Even in Infinity War, he's doing a wonderful job. Even though they all the parts where he's in the suit are just CGI by this point, so he's basically just a floating head who just has to say a few lines. He does a wonderful job bouncing off of Peter and showing emotion, and he's not just calling it a day. This guy is really trying still.
But God, could you imagine if Downey got into directing?
He might. He has at least 30 years left in him where he can do whatever the fuck he wants. At least might be a little much. I don't know how old he is. What is he, 50?
I don't know. Why don't you Google it?
I didn't want to use the keyboard, but as long as I'm here.
That's what the folks at home want. They want you typing on that mechanical goddamn fucking keyboard. Patreon. Donate.
That's it. They want to hear the clickety-clack. Robert Downey Jr. was born April 4th, 1965. He is 53 years old. He is 5'9", worth $260 million. He is currently married to Susan Downey.
Junior.
You get the junior. Also, he's a black belt. Pretty sure.
He was married to Deborah Falconer from 1992 to 2004.
That's an amazing name.
Falconer, right? That's badass. His children, Indio Falconer Downey, ex-son Elias Downey, Evria Rowell Downey. Boy, his children have real fancy names.
Well, he was Chaplin.
I watched that recently. It was very enjoyable. Although the old age makeup is really fucking weird.
I want to point out that all of those names were punctuated with sound effects in the old commentary.
Yeah, we're almost done with this, guys.
I know. We're announcing the end of the commentary, and we have another 4 minutes to go. 3 minutes to go! Everyone say your last thoughts. We have 3 minutes to kill before we can go home.
One more time to murder.
Before Cody can sober up.
No, I'm going to keep drinking. Avatar update. We're at the final battle where the giant mechs are going after the Na'vi. Portrick has just abandoned his cockpit. He's put on his mask, which makes zero sense because he's 6 feet tall and the Na'vi are 10 feet tall. He's going to die. Hey, Sully, how's it feel to betray your own race? Jake hisses at him. He's about to sap the fuck out of Portrick.
Well, now I'm just disappointed that we didn't get your live reaction to the sex scene. That's not an extended cut.
Yeah. Also, this is hilarious because the giant Portrick robot turns, walks towards the area where Jake's body is being stored, cracks it open to let all the air out, and Jake watches the whole goddamn time. It's 30 seconds of him going, "What are you doing? Hey, that's my body!" before he attacks the robot.
I like your version of Avatar. Also,
No, this is the honest version. He just waits around for the robot to fuck his shit up, and he's like, I should do something. It's Don Knotts as a person, as a Na'vi.
Don Knotts as a person. I just want to point out that we're talking about right now how sad it would be if a year later we're recording and one of us died.
I miss MB.
He volunteered, so...
Sorry. Can I read the lyrics to the MASH theme?
I mean, I have always wanted to do a spoken
Cody.
word version of Suicide is Painless, so sure.
Okay. Through early morning fog I see, visions of things to be, the pains that are withheld from me, I realize and I can see. That suicide is painless, it brings on many changes, and I can take or leave it as I please. That game of life is hard to play, I'm gonna lose it anyway. The losing card I'll someday lay, so this is all I have to say. Suicide is painless, and it brings on many changes, and I can take or leave it as I please. I said sword like a moron. Let me restart that line. The sword of time will pierce our skin. It doesn't hurt when it begins, but as it works its way on in, the pain grows stronger. Watch it grin. Suicide is painless. It brings on many changes, and I can take or leave it as I please. A brave man once requested me to answer questions that are key. Is it to be or not to be? And I replied, oh, why ask me? Suicide is painless. It brings on many changes, and I can take or leave it if I... Ellipses. Suicide is painless. It brings on many changes, and I can take or leave it if I please. Suicide is painless. It brings on many changes, and you can do the same thing if you please. Keep in mind, the guy who wrote the line "Suicide is painless" was paid way more than his father who directed the movie. What a weird thing. The guy who made the theme music got paid a shit ton of money. The guy who directed all this shit, who started an empire, a TV empire, got paid shit. Not a joke. You can look that fact up. That's the truth.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't he like 15 when he wrote that?
He was. The guy who wrote Suicide is Painless was an emo teenager, and he got fucking paid. So anyways.
I am so sorry. Please don't judge our podcast based on this.
Please don't commit suicide listening to our podcast. It is actually painful unless you get it just right. And even then, it's not worth it. This has been Box Office Pulp. We have hit the end of our commentary.
And the end of our rope.
The end of our rope as well. We're just dangling in the wind. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening to this train wreck of a show. We'll be back next year with what I can only assume is an even worse train wreck where it's just me and Mike huddled in a corner over a flame lit on the wrapper pulled from a can of Chef Boyardee. That'll be it.
I look forward to being dead when that happens. Lucky
bastard. Also, Avatar the movie is still fucking running. Jake Sully is being promoted to the head of the Na'vi right now, which doesn't make any sense. Even the people in the Na'vi are like, man, that's dumb.
Good night, everybody.
Now that this commentary is finally over, I'm going to take a single potato chip that I've been waiting 2.5 hours to eat and crunch it into the microphone.
I'm very glad.
How very Death Note of you.
That was a great potato chip crunch. That sounded like a fucking Foley noise.
I'm proud of that.
That was perfect. Did we want to actually promote any of the other shows we're on, or is it too much?
I feel like that's hurting.
Yeah, let's not. I'm turning the recorder.
This is Box Office Pulp Guy, and this has been a Pulp Podcast production. Now please, 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 put a gun in my mouth and pull the trigger and say goodnight.
And now, on with the show.